Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of CantinaMX podcast, edition 131. Wow, that's a lot of shows we've done. Glad to have you with us. We are live on YouTube right now, and of course, you can listen to this and our previous editions of our podcast downloaded from the Pod Center at iTunes and as well as on Google Play. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you with us this evening. Do have another full show as we always do. Seems like it's like the greatest novela in the world. We have just all this never-ending material that is provided to us by not just Liga MX, but by the world of soccer. And as many of you know, there have been plenty of things that have happened over the past 24 to 48 hours to certainly give us a 2 to 3 hour window of opportunity to talk about that, which is exactly what we're going to do tonight. But we do have a special guest with us that has joined us right from the start here at the. It's like he's walking into happy hour here at the CantinaMX podcast. So let's go ahead and get right to that. I do have an intro. So here we go.
Gentlemen, let me lay on you
a great entertainer.
a great entertainer.
A great
A
humanitarian.
great humanitarian.
And my dear friend for 25
My
years.
dearest friend of 20 years.
We have with us this evening a gentleman who freelances with ESPN Deportes, ESPNFC.com. He's also a correspondent for Marca here in the U.S. and also works for CONCACAF.com. We're very happy to join us. He lives, I got to think, about 10 to 15 miles away from me. I'm in Lakeway. He's in Cedar Park. We're talking to Arch Bell tonight. Arch, how are you, sir?
I'm great, guys. Thank you so much for having me into the cantina. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you with us, Arch. Now, Arch, we brought you on for a couple of reasons. The first reason, of course, is that as we are continuing our series of previewing World Cup groups, we're up to Group B, and we thought a couple weeks ago we should pick the most interested team in each group, and Spain seems to be the most interesting. They were World Cup champions 4 years ago. They crashed out spectacularly out of Brazil 2014. I guess not spectacular if you're a fan of Spain, but certainly just a complete 180 from what they'd had in the previous tournament. And so now I was watching a show last night on HBO. They said this is a new generation. This is a new opportunity for them. They have everything in front of them. So we'll get into that, but we'll also talk a little Conca Champions, because I know that with Arch writing for CONCACAF.com, I know he was watching the semifinals as we were on Tuesday night between Club America in Toronto and New York Red Bulls and Chivas. But let's go ahead and talk about that first, if that's okay with you, Arch. We'll do a little CONCACAF talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you as part of your introduction, you've got a little part there from Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail, and you could say the CONCACAF Champions League is the Holy Grail for MLS, and it's pretty close. Toronto FC is pretty close.
Well, Toronto FC, for folks who say, well, they haven't beaten anybody. Well, as a matter of fact, they have beaten. They've beaten, historically the biggest team in North America in soccer, which is Club America. The team that over the past 4 or 5 years has been the most dominant team in North American soccer, aside from winning this tournament. Talking about Tigres. So, for Toronto FC to do this, they're going to have to. Arch, it's now they're going up against tradition. They're going up against. And it's going to be very, very. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be easy for Toronto FC, but it's going to be another very difficult match. And if they're able to cross this hurdle again, I mean, they would certainly have to be considered as one of the, one of the better stories of that this tournament has had, or the best story that this tournament has had since it became, I guess, in the version that we know it today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's like a true murderer's row. I mean, that's the side of in years past, the side of a Liga MX team on the other side of the field for an MLS team is just ended up with, soiled britches, right? So, the fact that, Toronto did beat Tigres and they did beat Club America and more so that the second leg was in Mexico and that, they survived those 2 legs. And, the other night against Club America, I mean, they executed their game plan so well. They got a little bit of lucky. I mean, America, I know, they had plenty of chances. Alex Bono was, standing on his head. He was excellent. So, if not for a couple of great saves, maybe it's a lot more nervy for Toronto at the end. But they've kind of developed this nice little formula in these CONCACAF Champions League games where, win at home and then, stay composed and get the result on the road. And there's no reason why they can't do that against Chivas. I think the key is for them is going to be to win at home in that first leg. And I think if they can do that, they can get the result that they need in the second leg.
The one thing I noticed about excuse me, let me turn myself up here. The one thing I noticed about Toronto in both of these ties, not just against America, but against Tigres. I mean, it wasn't as much as they were surviving. I mean, it was as much as they were the ones that threw the first punch, and it landed really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And neither Tigres nor America could survive. I know that Tigres kind of had a late run there in their game, but I mean, they still had to. They had many more goals that they had to score, and then with Toronto doing it to America in the 11th minute, just a complete dagger to the heart. I mean, it was like it's like that scene in Indiana Jones. I'm sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the guy's swinging the sword and Harrison Ford just takes out his gun and shoots him. Pow! This is not how people think this is going to go. And that was and both teams were essentially moribund after that, and for Club America to be as flat as they were, I mean, and with a very decent crowd, I mean, that was more than I expected, to be honest. I mean, it was practically full, the Estadio Azteca, so they had no excuse, but Toronto, like you said, they did what they had to do, and they got the result, and I'll bring in Joel Aceves, who joins us here in a second, but I have to say, Arch, that I mean, I cannot see any way how Toronto is not considered the favorite against Chivas. I mean, Chivas is a team that's in 15th place in their local league. They've been terrible all year, and have not been a good team. I mean, you want to talk about like white knuckling and surviving a match, which is what they did against Red Bulls. So, I mean, am I crazy to say that Toronto is the favorite?
No, I think so. I think you're right. I think Toronto's the favorite, but I certainly see a path to victory for Chivas. Just the way Chivas defend, they defend really well. Using that almost like a man-to-man defense. I mean, they're so aggressive, and there's the X factor in that. Mateus Almeida is really good in finals, and he's going to be ready. He's going to have his team ready, and I think this is going to be a really low-scoring final, and I think it's going to take every bit to win this. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them. And Chivas is going to fight tooth and nail. And, if Chivas win, it's going to be maybe even like a 1-0 on aggregate, or even, something really low, or, who knows, maybe even goes to penalties, after 2 0-0s. That's entirely possible. So the way I see it, I think Chivas know that their bread and butter is going to be their hard physical play, their defense, and they're gonna try to do that to Toronto. That's what I think.
Sure. No, I bring in Joel Aceves, who joins us from I'm not sure exactly where, so I'll just say Southern California. Where are you joining us from tonight, Joel?
Irvine.
From Irvine, California. Joel Aceves joins us from Irvine, California. Now, Joel, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that you, in fact, in our first show of the new year, after we took our Christmas break. And I you know what I should have done, Joel, is that I should have gone back and played the recording where you said that Chivas was going to make the final of this tournament.
And Miss Liga MX Liguilla, but make the final of. Right.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the second part. And you were dead on. And now, as a Chivas fan, well, I guess I should ask you, because I know you're a little different. But would most Chivas fans can a Chivas fan appreciate the survive and advance technique that Chivas showed in the series, or does it have to be the 3 Gs every time they play, and if they don't do it, then they're trash?
No, they'll appreciate it, especially for international title. Team is starving in that department.
Okay. So as a Chivas fan, were you white knuckling that game when you were watching it? Were you grabbing on the couch?
You know what? I missed it, John. I missed the match.
Well, were you white knuckle it, reading it up on Twitter as you were getting the Twitter updates?
I missed those too. I only
no.
I was only reading the criticism afterwards. Some of it seemed divided. Mexican media, one half, talking bad about America, and the other half, they were giving a bit of credit for, Almeida. This is his 7th final with the team.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's something. No, but for the fans, it's good, given how bad the season has been, and just how the team hasn't looked too good. So to be in the final, it's something.
Now, this reminds me, Juan, and I'll ask Arch the same thing, that when Chivas played the final against Tigres, no one gave them a chance of that. It was, all they were going to do at the end of that was watch, Gignac lift the trophy and be considered the greatest player in Liga MX history. And just like what we've seen Toronto do, I mean, when they had their chances in the first leg against, and it was in Monterrey, they took their chance. They were up 2-0 very quickly, boom, boom, and they set the pace for the entire tie. Do you think Chivas has that opportunity, Joel? Is the pressure off Chivas for this? I mean, they've made the final, so now can they just play it?
No, you know what? I was waiting to say it, and then you said it before me. I do think Toronto's the favorite. They've been more consistent, and they have a player like Giovinco who, really good goal scorer. Chivas just doesn't have that type of player. It's supposed to be Pulido, but he just scores every 6 games.
I think you're being generous with that stuff.
Yeah, he forgot about scoring. So yeah, no, the pressure is always going to be there for Chivas, regardless. I think it's a must-win game for Almeida as well, because he's looked really bad.
Okay, Arch, if Toronto's the favorite, and as Juan says, just because of Chivas who are there, does that give them an advantage then? An added advantage, knowing that they could play into the into the pressure that Chivas is facing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Toronto is just very comfortable with who they are. I think they're just their composed manner. So even if they are labeled as the favorites, I think they're totally fine with that. And I mean, they know it's going to be hard. Greg Vandy's not done. And they're not going to get too ahead of themselves. They're not going to be like, well, we knocked off Tigres, we knocked off America. I mean, they know. I mean, there's so much history there that is so bad for MLS that, for them to get ahead of themselves and start booking their trip to the Club World Cup final would be such an egregious mistake. So I think that I think that Toronto is, I think they know what they need to do. I think they've got a plan, and as opposed to the previous MLS finalists, Real Salt Lake and Montreal Impact, it's a better team. It's a deeper team. I mean, when Jose Altidore went out, in the 6th minute, I was thinking to myself, like, oh man, this is not good. Now they're just going to bunker in. Tosaint Ricketts came in and he assisted on the goal. So there's depth there, and there's a good team there that I think, they know what they're doing, and I think they can handle their business.
I found it very interesting that a guy whose last name was Osorio was the one who essentially got the tie killer there with the goal in the 11th minute, and don't think that tiny little bit of karma wasn't lost on me. Now, Piojo Herrera, I think up until this point had been, after his, the last time he blew up in Philadelphia, had been really an exemplary coach. I mean, he'd done everything he could, not just with America, but with Tigres to make them as good as they've been. They've kind of fallen off a little for Club America, but then he goes and runs his mouth before and after the game in Toronto, and it just seemed like it never gave. He just totally took the wind out of his team's sails by doing that, and he was never able to light the fire in them again. And they were very flat. They did not play well, and I know a lot of America fans were not particularly happy with with those the results, and Mr. Vanny, as you pointed out, Arch, has been outstanding. And is this the guy then, if they win this tournament? Is this the guy that that the U.S. pegs to head the national team?
He has to be looked at. He absolutely has to be looked at.
Well, he has to be the favorite. I mean, what did you think?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be considered the favorite. I know, there's, guys like Tab Ramos, Peter Vermees. I mean, there are other guys who are in the mix, but my gosh, just the way Greg Vanney has, I really appreciated how seriously Toronto FC took this tournament, and just, his demeanor, and just, his teams are so well prepared. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing, is seeing that, there's his teams were ready for those. I mean, obviously for all 4 games in the quarterfinals and semifinals, but specifically the 2 games in Mexico. I mean, they were ready, they were prepared, they knew what they wanted to do, they were organized, and I mean, I think that the U.S. could really use a coach like him. The question is, would he want the job? Does he want to leave the Toronto FC project? Could he? Maybe could he then take over the U.S. job after the Club World Cup? Something like that. Could they make an agreement to do that?
Sure.
But he absolutely has to be in the mix. I think he just continues to impress.
Well, here's the way I see the national teams going for both Mexico and the U.S. with the upcoming expansion of the World Cup to 48 teams. If either of these teams ever miss qualification, I mean, then they just need to end their program immediately. Number one. So I mean, so your team's going to make it. So wouldn't you rather have your coach that is a proven tournament coach, a coach that knows how to play well in tournaments? I mean, the players are the players. You're going to get what you're going to get. I mean, the coach shouldn't be made responsible for the cultivation of a national team player. I mean, he's basically a coach of an all-star team.
Right. That needs to happen at the club level, of course. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But when you're a national team coach, I mean, you're basically an all-star team coach that you get to see your guys once every 3 months for about 4 days, and then you're supposed to every 4 years play this crazy pressure-packed tournament. So wouldn't you want a guy that gives you the best chance to do well in that tournament, as opposed to a guy who's gonna? And I'd say this for both Mexico and the U.S. So because they're both going to be making some change. There's going to be some hiring that's going to be made after the World Cup, and it just seems like both countries, knowing what they have as far as their talent and skill level, why don't they try and get a coach that can hopefully help them do the best in a tournament, whether it's Gold Cup or Copa America or the World Cup or the Confed Cup or whatever.
Yeah, I agree, and Vanny's certainly one of those guys, but they can also look beyond. I mean, there's a contingent of U.S. fans that want some foreign-based coach like a Bielsa, or they want that coach. I know, and also Mexico fans. There are plenty of Mexico fans, right, who have pleaded to bring in Bielsa. So, but Vanny, I think if you're looking at the domestic coaches, the U.S.-based coaches, he for me is my leader in the clubhouse. Like I would put him in front of a Tab Ramos, in front of Peter Vermees. And they should really look at a bunch of guys. One guy that I always really liked, because he coaching in the NASL the previous 2 years, was I loved Alessandro Nesta, what he did there at Miami, and his players absolutely loved playing for him. And what a unique perspective he could bring. I'm sure maybe it's not quite the time, but at least sit down and have the conversation. So, the U.S. at least, if you can call the luxury of missing a World Cup, they have the luxury of a lot of options and being able to take a look at a lot of guys.
Now, Hoy, we've talked about this in the past. If you were hiring a national team coach, would you hire a players coach that'll keep the locker room, harmony somewhat decent? Or are you an X's and O's guy, the guy that can build a 4-year, a 4-year project that's going to culminate with them lifting the World Cup trophy? We just joined Joel, so we'll ask Joel that question a little bit later. Now, Arch, we did bring you on because since we're talking about the World Cup, you are a correspondent for Marca. So your work is it's obviously seen on the internet, but it's for the for an audience in Spain. And I've seen you. I've seen you cover a whole bunch of events, not just soccer, but I've seen you down in San Antonio.
Yeah.
When there are a couple of Spanish players come in to the Spurs. How does, by the way, how are the Spurs? Did we make the playoffs? The Spurs, or are we in?
Spurs are in as the 7th seed, and they will face the Golden State Warriors. And
really,
the season will end after Game 4.
About a week later. About a week later. Fair enough. So how was it how did your love affair with Spain begin? Where did it start for you?
Well, I was fortunate enough when I was in college to spend 2 semesters in Madrid, and so really, I got there, and I'd always taken Spanish throughout growing up in Midland, taking Spanish throughout school, and then away at high school and college. But it really wasn't until Madrid that I got to learn more Spanish. So, and one of the things that really helped me learn the language was talking about sports. And of course, what do people in Spain like to talk about? They like to talk about football. So immediately I was following it. I was reading Marca every day. And you just stumble into any bar on any corner in Spain and you can talk about football or there's a game on. I was going to games, Real Madrid, Atletico, Rayo. I was having a lot of fun doing that. And I mean, it's pretty much, that was the genesis of really getting into Spanish football. And but it wasn't until much later that I got a chance to be involved with Marca. I was in 2011. I was just doing a little bit of freelance stuff for ESPN, and I was in Spain. And I reached out to just a writer at Marca to see if he could help me, if he could give me a couple quotes, a couple comments for a story I was doing. I was interviewing Giuseppe Rossi when he was at Villarreal for an ESPN story, and I met up with one of the guys from Marca and ended up just hitting it off with him. And about a year later, they said, "Hey, we're expanding out our Marca America section with the United States. Would you be interested?" And I hadn't written that much in Spanish, but I just said, I think I can pull this off. So, and ever since June of 2012, I've been basically the U.S. correspondent for Marca. So, so I do stuff. I cover MLS and U.S. national team for Marca in Spanish, and then they had me do all the match reports for Real Madrid and Barcelona for their Marca and English page, and also the Spanish national team. So I watch a lot of La Liga, and then when the Spanish national team plays, I watch every single one of those games. Yeah. So that's my kind of my background on Marca, but it is fun to be able to write for them. I enjoy it tremendously.
Now, there's Arch Bell, the serious professional correspondent who watches all the La Liga.
Right.
Who did the sorting hat pick for Arch Bell when he was studying in Madrid? What team won your heart? Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I really, even though I was living in Madrid, that was the year that the Brazilian Ronaldo was at Barcelona. He had that one season at Barcelona, the 1996-97 season, and that's when I was there. And I just, just watching him. The goals that he scored were just, to this day, they're really ones that you just never see. The one against Compostela where he starts at midfield and he shakes like 8 defenders and scores. These were incredible goals, and his speed, his velocity were unparalleled. So I fell in love with that Bobby Robson coach Barcelona team, and so I would pull for them, but. As the years goes on and you become a journalist and, you see, Barcelona, Madrid, dominate La Liga every year or the Champions League every year, you kind of, after a while, that fandom kind of gets softened and you just learn to appreciate a really good story. But, I still get into it. I still like watching them play. But yeah, I really got into that Barcelona team back then.
All right. And, is it just me, or I guess what made Ronaldo so special back then was that you're right, he was lightning fast, but he had incredible control.
Yeah.
Because usually guys that were that fast, they just weren't very technically skilled. Well, yeah, he had everything. He
was the complete package, and it was before all the knee injuries, and I think he was 20 years old at the time, and he had this one game against Valencia in October of 1996 where he scored a hat trick, but it was the third goal that just really was just mind-boggling. Where you didn't think he had any chance at a ball, and then he just split two Valencia defenders. I mean, just went right through them, and got to the ball first and scored. And I mean, it was absolutely stunning. It was like, this guy is amazing, and he just had just an incredible season. What's so ironic is that Barcelona finished second in the league that year to Fabio Capello's first Madrid side, which they kind of just plodded all along and won like a bunch of games 1-0. But I mean, Barcelona shot themselves in the foot too much that season. But yeah, Ronaldo was so special that season, and I remember just being devastated that he somehow ended up at Inter Milan. I didn't really understand it at the time. But, these things happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. What's crazy about that is that he does just as well for Milan, because you would think that Italy would be more defensive, but he was just cutting those guys down to pieces back then too. And a lot of guys, well, not a lot of guys, but there are a few guys on our podcast that are a little bit younger than I said that you and I, because I think we're kind of somewhere the same age. Where Ronaldo is like their god, because they were kids or teenagers when that was happening. So like he really had a lot more of an impression on him. It's like someone like me who was had been jaded and by that point. So, like that guy for me is Earl Campbell. That's
exactly. Yeah, and for me, like Maradona, I was 10 years old watching the '86 World Cup in Mexico, and like it was fell in love watching Maradona. Like really fell in love with soccer at that time.
Right.
So.
Well, let's talk Spain in the World Cup. So in 2010, well, in 2006 they had a crackerjack team, but they ran into a juggernaut, and there was nothing they could do.
Right.
They lose to France and cruelly in the round of 16. Teams that probably should have played much later in the tournament, but that's
and Zidane. That's when kind of like when that Zidane train really started rolling was that Spain game, and then and they knocked off Brazil, and everybody knows the rest. Yeah,
the worst guy in the world for Spain to run into getting hot was the only guy that could beat them. It was him. And so, but then they win the Eurocopa in 2008, where they just have a terrific tournament, and then they get the goal against the Germans and hang on. So they're the European champions. They go to Spain, South Africa, rather. They win that World Cup after losing to Switzerland in the first in the first match.
Yeah, lost the opener. And you talk about that 2008 Euro Cup. Remember, they had to. I mean, by the skin of their teeth, they got past Italy in that quarterfinal in the shootout. And
that's right.
I think that's probably one of the most, if not the most important victory in Spanish national team history, because that showed they kind of shed that quarterfinal jinx, and especially that Italy jinx. And when they did that, then they were like, okay, we can be champions.
That's right.
And they really kind of they rolled to the Euro Cup and then parlayed that into the World Cup in South Africa.
So they win the World Cup, and again, I mean, they should have. I know that Holland had some chances in that game, but I mean, they were I guess the two best teams in the tournament. But Spain deservedly wins. They have a base of players that I don't think we'll see again in 50 years on any national team. I mean, that's how good these guys were. And when I know that and Joel has been watching soccer for a long time, and you watch. I mean, to have those guys play together for as long as they did, and to win, not just for Spain, but for Barcelona. I mean, how can Iniesta and Xavi not, as great as Messi and Eto'o and all those guys were, I mean, it was always Xavi and Iniesta. It was the same thing with the Spanish national team. And I mean, how on earth is Spain going to? I mean, you can't replace those guys, so you just have to. It's like you have to tear everything down and just start all over again. And it looks like that's what Spain is going to do for this World Cup.
Yeah, and midfield. There's still people are still asking questions about the midfield, but I really like how their midfield is shaping up coming into the tournament, and it all starts with Isco. I mean, Isco, I know he can be inconsistent at Real Madrid, and Real Madrid is such an interesting team, right? I mean, that's Ronaldo's team, and there's so many stars, and there's so many great players, so many different playmakers. But it's like when Isco puts on that Spain jersey, he's kind of like a different player. It kind of becomes his team. He's like really leading the attack on that team. and he kind of knows that he's the guy. It almost kind of reminds me of when he was at Malaga. You know, how good was he when he was at Malaga? He was the one that really led Malaga to that Champions League quarterfinal until they lost to Dortmund. So I think the midfield for Spain is shaping up nicely. I mean, you have Iniesta. I think the big thing is getting Busquets healthy.
Sure.
Barcelona, cruising to La Liga, so they can kind of, if they can have Busquets kind of rest more, take care of things in the Copa final next weekend, and then just get that guy some rest. But
and shame on me for not mentioning him with the Xavi Iniesta, because the reality is that as great as they were, the only reason they were great is because he was, I mean, he's just a crazy good player for what he does. Just incredible.
And then you get really good wing play from like Marco Asensio and Lucas Vazquez. So the Spain midfield, and then, I mean, David Silva, if you even want to include him in that, I mean, it's in Spain, the attack / midfield. There's so many, they're kind of interchangeable. It's like, well, is he a midfielder or is he a forward? I mean,
well, and God bless, who was the coach in the 2016 Euro?
It was.
I'm sorry, the 2012 Euro. I'm sorry. Was it still Aragonés?
That was Del Bosque. Del Bosque was 2010 and 2012.
All right. I mean, and guy for saying, you know what, our strikers. I mean, we have much better midfielders and strikers, so we're just not going to play with one.
Yeah.
And they just destroyed people. They absolutely, and I mean, what they did to Italy in that final was that was bad.
Amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing. Now the thing with and I think they kind of came back to bite him a little bit there in Brazil at the World Cup, a lack of an effective number 9. But they've got a decent striker pool. It's not like your David Villa, Fernando Torres lot, but I think Rodrigo is a good striker. I think Iago Aspas always does a good job when he plays with the national team. He's very solid. So I'm not a big fan of Diego Costa. I don't know what it is. He just seems like the type of player. I think he's good on a club team, over a 38-game schedule. But I'm not really sure. Like, is this really the guy that you want? And like in an important like group stage match where the margin of error is so small, like I'd rather have maybe somebody a little bit more kind of dependable that is going to just be a little bit more disciplined. So they have to answer the question: who's going to play striker? Who's going to play that number 9? But I think in midfield, and certainly in defense, you have the frenemies, Piqué and Ramos at center back, and then Alba and Dani Carvajal. And so they're all squared away in the back. David De Gea, goalkeeper. So in the back, midfield, I think Spain, assuming everybody's healthy, you can get Iniesta and Busquets healthy in the midfield. You got to feel good about that. And then, just find the right kind of strike pair, duo, whatever Lopetegui wants to use. If you can do that, then I think they have to like their chances of going pretty far.
Right. And now, are you saying that Piqué and Ramos they're still at the Rocky and Apollo and Rocky 2? They haven't graduated to Rocky and Apollo and Rocky.
They're close. They're close to the beach. The beach is like it'll maybe come in a couple of years. The beach hug scene, but they're still the Rocky 2 stage. That's a very good comparison.
So they open up with Portugal, so they couldn't have a better way for this tournament so they'll know exactly where they stand, so to speak, with the two what one would consider the more accessible opponents to get 3 points with Morocco. I'm sorry, I guess they play Iran next, and then because I keep thinking that Spain is the head of the group, and they're not. It's Portugal.
That's right. Yeah, Spain was in that second pool, which is everybody's like, how did that happen? But I mean that's just how it worked out. But yeah, so Portugal to start, and I like them to beat Portugal in that game. I know Portugal are defending European champions, but I think Spain can be considered the favorite. I mean, honestly, they could have played this entire group in Sevilla or Cadiz, right? Because you have Morocco and Portugal. I mean, just Iran would have to do a little bit of the traveling, but no. But I think Spain.
I think they're all gonna have good crowd. I mean, Iran. I mean, it can't be that far from it. It's I would say that Iran is closer to some of the games they're playing in Russia than Spain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so I think. But I think Spain, winning that first game against Portugal, and Portugal, Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know what you get with Ronaldo. Fernando Santos is really smart, though. I mean, he really showed in the Euro like he's a good tournament coach, and of course, they have a lot of good
Oh,
young players. You know, Bernardo
right.
Silva and William Carvalho, Renato Sanchez. So Portugal, I think Portugal will also be strong, but I like Spain in that first game. I like Spain.
Okay, so they win that one. So you see Spain going through pretty comfortably in first place. After, once they knock off Portugal.
Yeah, I think so. I think Morocco and Iran will provide some stiff resistance. I think they'll frustrate Spain, but I think
So
when it's all said and done, Spain will top the group.
so last week we were discussing Egypt. How great would that be then for Spain to play Egypt if Egypt ends up as the second place team out of Group A?
Oh wow,
And
that
then
would be
I
amazing.
mean, yeah, that would be just a real a real cracker of a game if that ends up. Now, as far as the second place team, is it Portugal? You think that will get it, or do you think that one of the other teams, Iran or Morocco, might have a chance to sneak one by here?
Of the two, we'll call them dark horses. I like Iran. I think people are going to point to Morocco and their defensive record, whether they just gave up one goal in World Cup qualifying. So they're very defense is their bread and butter, and they've got some good players. They got some guys kind of sprinkled throughout Europe. I mean, certainly in Spain. The kid Hakimi Ashraf, that right back at kind of Danny Carvajal's backup at Real Madrid, and Amrabat at Las Palmas. The goalkeeper at Girona, Bono, is also on the national team.
And there was a Moroccan who was involved in a rather interesting play over there.
Yeah. So, and then of course,
over the past few days.
Yeah, Benatia, or however you say his name, there at Juventus. So, so it's not like they're going to just be like, awed by, Portuguese or Spanish competition. Like, I mean, they see these guys almost every weekend in La Liga. A lot of these guys are across Europe. But I like the two teams. I like Iran. Here's one thing that I find interesting is, who's Iran's coach? Well, it's Carlos Queiroz, right? I mean, Portuguese. So, he knows Portugal very well. Iran,
Spain very well.
Spain very well. Iran this is their second straight World Cup, so there's some good experience there. They were undefeated in all qualifying, like 18 matches. So
they should have beaten Argentina in the game, their first round game in 2014.
Gave Argentina a scare. I mean, and they've got some good goal scorers. The guy there, Rubin Kazan, what is his name? Osmoon, like he doesn't score for them, but he's like the Lucas Podolski of Iran. Like you put a national team jersey on him, and he turns into just a goal scoring machine. So
sure,
can Iran take a scalp? Yeah, I mean, I think they could. That Portugal game could be really, really interesting, and maybe they can slip in there. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Portugal and Iran, they played each other in the 06 group stage, right? Mexico was in that group.
Yes, right? It was in 06. It was Mexico and Iran and Angola and Portugal. Yeah, and Mexico beat Iran in the first match after and Joel remember this. That was back in the big soccer days when we'd have some Iranian folks that would tell us how they're. I mean they were very proud of their play, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. How we would be quaking in our boots because some of these guys were so outstanding, and Mexico ended up pulling it out with 3-1. But and then of course Iran has had they have acquitted themselves despite not getting past the group stage. Even in Argentina they had they gave some teams a scare, and they certainly in 1998 had a chance to advance after beating the U.S. In Lyon,
yeah,
and we saw what they did against Argentina and Bosnia, and then they just were unlucky. So I mean, I think Iran plays Portugal last, and as you pointed out before we got on the show, they could have 3 or 4 points in their pocket, thinking, hey, we have a chance to advance. If we beat these, this is our first elimination match. They have that opportunity, and we shouldn't also sleep on Morocco either, because I know that they haven't been in the tournament, but when Morocco has been in that tournament, they have been outstanding.
Yeah, and another thing is, they've got a coach who knows how to win tournaments too, and Hervé Renard, who's won 2 African Cup of Nations. It was Zambia and then Ivory Coast. So, and then plus with their defensive record, that they're going to be a tough out. So these 2 teams, I mean, when the draw first came out, and if you just take a quick glance, it's like, okay, well, this is easy, Spain and Portugal. But it's one of those, like, once you peel back the layer of the onion, it's like, no, this could actually be a lot tougher, a lot more complicated, and that I could see, like, that first game between Morocco and Iran. If Iran can get, let's say Iran wins that 2-0 or 1-0, and then Spain beats Portugal 2-0. Then you look in the goal difference, and then if they can get a draw against Portugal, it's like, well, 4 points might just get you there. So it's that's what's always so interesting, right, about the World Cup group stage, is how the schedules, on that last match day, how they fall out, and like who's advanced and who might be playing more of like a reserve team, or the goal difference. I mean, there's so many factors, and that could. I could see a path to the second round for Iran. I really could.
And we shouldn't forget also, and of course it was 32 years ago, but Portugal and Morocco have met in the World Cup, and when everyone thought that Portugal was just gonna stroll by, it was 3-0 after 20 minutes, Morocco, and that was in Guadalajara.
Wow.
Back
that was 86. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then they qualified and gave the Germans everything they could handle in the round of 16 until Lothar Matthäus scored on a free kick, like from 40 yards out, that just the goalie misread so badly that by the time he got there, it was like, oh, because it was bouncing in practically, just totally misplayed it. And and the Germans escaped, as they always do.
This is true.
Yeah.
But I think it promises to be a much tighter group than originally thought. And I've heard some people talk about Portugal and like, well, they won the Euro, so they'll be a little, there might be a little bit of a hangover, or not as motivated. But I doubt that. I mean, just look at Ronaldo and what he, with
it's Real
so Madrid.
Obvious.
He's such a motivated guy, and I'm never going to discount a team that has that when he's on it.
Well, see, I don't know how motivated he is, because they took a picture of him with his shirt off yesterday, and frankly, it looks like he's getting a little soft.
Oh, is there a little?
There was only like 110 muscles, not his usual 148. So it looks like he was, they're getting a little beer gut. No, you're absolutely right, and he has willed. Real Madrid hadn't done anything in La Liga, but I mean they are they're the favorites to win the Champions League. Period. Mm-hmm. And it's been because of him, because he's scored. Well, this is like the 10th or 11th straight Champions League game there that he scored a goal. Like
every Champions League game this season in which he has appeared, not every Real Madrid Champions League game, because I don't think he was in the last one, because they were well through to the next round. But in every Champions League match in which he has appeared this season, he has scored. And I mean, they won the Euro, and that's kind of probably whetted his appetite. And there's no drop off with that guy. He's just, if anything, he just gets better. And I'm just, I'm amazed by him, as each season goes on. And I'm amazed and I'm impressed. And he's got a good stable of players. And then, like I said, Fernando Santos is a good tournament coach. So, I know we were just hyping up Iran like a few minutes ago, and yes,
I mean it's going to take a lot for one of those two teams to. I mean, let's be honest, to knock off either Spain or Portugal. But it's not like it can't happen. So I mean, I'm not saying that these teams are like impregnable. I mean, they do have some vulnerabilities, and Iran and Morocco can both take advantage. I mean, there is no question. So
it's almost like Portugal's a little Jekyll and Hyde, because it's like, well, are you going to get the Portugal that won the Euro, or are you going to get the Portugal that crashed out in the group stage at the World Cup? Got hammered by Germany, and that was kind of the end of them. Right. I think you're going to see more of the former, more of the Euro winning team, because that's kind of and they did really well in qualifying. So I think you're going to see a good Portugal team. But
sure, but let's not forget that in Brazil they had like. I mean, they barely had enough players just to field the team that had so many injuries.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't lose sight of that. And obviously, in the Euro, they were much healthier. And unfortunately, for at least for Tigres fans, Portugal came within a Gignac, 6 inches to the right goal in the extra time of the final of not making the Confed Cup, having sending France the whole bit. It was they certainly have been lucky as any team is when they win a tournament. Luck has to go a certain way too.
There was definitely some good fortune for Portugal in that Euro, and I mean, gosh, what in the old system they wouldn't have even qualified, right? I mean, they wouldn't even qualify for the knockout round because they were so poor in the group stage.
Oh, that's right. They were like one of the third place teams.
They pulled a Chile World Cup 1998, 3 draws and they still got through.
Right.
But then they won like a couple penalty shootouts and it just worked for them. They were able to do it. It's an interesting group. I mean, it really is. I mean, every World Cup group is an interesting group, but I think this one has the potential to produce a couple of surprises, a couple things that people weren't expecting.
All right. So if chalk prevails on that side of the draw, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Spain would then face Argentina in the quarterfinals. I think that's how things shake. If chalk
in the quarters, okay.
Yeah.
And it's that's I don't know if those two have ever played in the World Cup. Have they?
God, I mean, at least not in my lifetime.
Yeah. And that, I mean, how much of a treat would that be?
I have no idea if they have or not. I mean, maybe like in one of the previous World Cups they may have, but certainly not since 1970.
Yeah, and I think that could be. I mean, what a treat that would be to watch. And I know they just played in a friendly, and I know Spain absolutely destroyed them. But there's no Messi, and it's a friendly, and things are going to be different. But oh gosh, I mean, that would be so wonderful to see those two get a chance to face each other in a quarterfinal. If chalk prevails, so Spain, Group A, who would they realistically face in that second round?
I think it would be, the group is Uruguay, Russia, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. So it's either going to be Uruguay. I think Egypt beats Russia and Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And I think they could easily beat Uruguay too. So I think it would either be Egypt or Uruguay. More than likely Egypt, but it could be Uruguay too.
So let's say, like, just for argument's sake, we get Spain, Egypt, which very entertaining game, but I like Spain. And then Uruguay, Portugal. Let's say for argument's sake, Portugal. That's pretty tasty right there. That'd be a good second round game because I mean, Uruguay just is amazing. So, but yeah, that's a little bit of some Group A stuff.
Defensive battle.
Yeah, for sure.
A pitcher's duel.
Diego Godin scores a header in the 71st to win it. I mean, that's pretty much
on a corner kick.
Yeah, exactly.
The only shot on goal the whole game.
That's exactly how that would work.
Yeah, and then the other side of the draw was Argentina, and then their group is their cruce is it's Peru, Australia, Denmark, and France. So more than likely they'll make it. They should make it to the Spain, just like Spain should. I think we will see Spain, Argentina in the quarterfinals.
God, so you could have an Argentina-Peru second round game?
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, those, and we're talking to Luis Miguel Echegaray next week. So we're talking a little Peru next week. So we're looking forward.
He'll be all about it.
Yeah, he will give us. And it's great to have Peru back in the World Cup.
Absolutely,
it's great to have them back. Well, Arch, I'm going to let you go. But before we go, I do want to ask you a couple of predictions. So,
sure.
CONCACAF Champions League, who takes it?
I think. I mean, the days come. Mine eyes have seen the glory. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I think
now hang on a second. It might be Major League Soccer, but the team's from Canada, eh? It's not really American. It's the Canadian entry.
And I'm sure Jorge Iturralde is going to remind me of this a few million times in the next 2 weeks. But I do think Toronto FC gets it done. They've won me over with their performances in the Volcan and the Azteca. So I think Toronto gets it done. Chivas will put up a good fight, but Toronto seals the deal.
Okay, and then Spain. How far do they go?
I think a semifinal. I think they get to the semifinals. I don't think they win it, but I think they reach the semifinals.
if they get to the semifinal, it would more than, this is my personal opinion. It would more than likely be France, I think, because they're the other. I mean, they're the other heavy on that side of the draw. But they wouldn't meet until, again, if the chalk that we expect to prevails, it would be a Spain France semifinal. So
And then
semifinals.
the other side would be what, Brazil, Germany?
It would be I think Mexico, Colombia. I
Oh,
think.
okay. Oh, I
No,
see.
no, it would be Brazil. Yeah, it would unfortunately be Brazil, Germany. No, you're exactly right.
You know, I'll say this though, John. I'll say this, and if talking about chalk, if Mexico finishes second and Brazil finishes first, I see no reason why Mexico can't beat Brazil.
It's the only, and we've talked about this on this show. It's the only team of the grandes, the big of the super giants that Mexico has. I mean, they have a lot more confidence in when they play them than they would against Germany, Italy. Well, maybe not Italy, but Germany, France, Spain, Argentina, England. Yeah, I mean, I agree, and they've done, and they've for the last 20 years, Mexico has done nothing but beat Brazil.
Yeah, and not just, and those
at every level,
and not those Molotto friendlies, right? In Dallas. I mean, we're talking like with a trophy on the line.
World Cup game.
Oh, hang on, we just had a whole bunch of people join. Good lord. Just as we're saying, but you're right though. Yeah, it'll definitely. It'll definitely.
They can take them. They could take. I think Mexico goes far. I think you get to your quinto partido, and who knows what might happen. But I like Mexico to do really well at this World Cup.
Surprising. As a Mexican fan, I'm not as positive, but get on you.
Well, Arch, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you hopping on the Cantina. It was a real pleasure to have you on, and we will hold you to your predictions.
Yes, please do. Hold my feeling. Feel free to call me on.
We already have a Walter Mercado on the show, so we know we can always make room for two. We don't discriminate here at CantinaMX podcast. So thanks for hopping on. We appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it, and you guys have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, bye now.
That was Arch Bell joining us here on CantinaMX podcast right from the get-go. I'm glad to see we have some other folks that have hopped on. I know that Albert, we just heard Albert at Chiquiscampa come on. Joel was in and out, but I'm assuming that Joel will be on here with us shortly, as well as Daniel Preciado, who has punched his ticket to go to the Liguilla. Daniel, would you consider, sir, a trip to Torreon if your beloved Guerreros, or I should say when your Guerreros make the final?
Oh, man. I would absolutely consider it, yes. Yeah, that'd be...
Because you said you could go to Tijuana and then fly from Tijuana to Torreon, right?
Yes, and it's very doable.
Wow. Well, I think you should... I think you
should get the cool little pedestrian crossing where you don't even have to drive your car to Mexico. You could park. And
did you say the airport's right there?
Yeah, they have a pedestrian bridge that takes you across the border into the airport directly.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, and you have like all points Mexico.
I haven't used it yet. The only time I've flown out of there was before that was put in place. But even then, it was pretty easy. We just had a friend actually drop us off, and then we just walked across the border and then drove back home. But yeah, it's something that I might have to try to pull off, man.
Well, we will be with you in spirit when you do. We might have to reach out to Kim Tate to see if she can help you out with getting some stuff there. We'll see what we can do. Joining us also from we joined earlier from Irvine. Joel Aceves rejoins us. Joel, I was trying to bring you into the conversation we were having with Arch, and
I know I was having communication problems. My internet kept losing service.
That's see that wouldn't happen over in South Los Angeles, Joel.
Yeah, no.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, well, at first I thought it was coming from you. from your end?
Hey, the things that come out of my end are private.
Oh
It's
man,
not something that should be discussed on. No, I'm just kidding. No, well, I'm glad that you're back on now. There were a couple of things that Joel, that I wanted to follow up with things that Arch had said. One of them was the in the World Cup with Spain's group. I was wanting to get your opinion on if you were hiring a coach, would you hire a player's coach or would you hire a tournament coach for your national team?
oh, that's a really good question.
That's why I'm asking it.
Yeah, I guess it depends the group you have, the team. Type of team like, man. You know what? I'll go with the group coach.
Yeah.
I'm a side with the group coach.
I don't want to do this one Arch on the phone because I didn't want to think that we were a bunch of degenerates. But I did see that the trash talking Juanita wanted to come in and give her thoughts on what had happened over the past few days with Club America.
Club America, they suck.
So what are you gonna do? So you would. So the reason I asked is because when I was speaking to Arch, as we were talking about Greg Vanney, who has had just a tremendous run with Toronto in this tournament and done really well. And it's not as if that they're, with their style of play, blah blah. I mean, they have had their teams ready to play. It seems like he would be a favorite to take over the national team. And for countries like Mexico and the U.S. that are, somewhat more limited technically with their pool of players that they have, or have a thinner player pool, but wouldn't you want a coach to be more of a tournament coach than kind of the rah guy? Let's build up the whole program kind of guy, or do you want a build the whole program kind of guy?
Well, I mean, to me, the group coach is just the type of dude that could get the best out of the players, sort of like Piojo.
Right.
So that's my take on that. Not so much of like build the whole stuff. That'd be more like Osorio type of coach, even like Bielsa type, where they want to, sembrar bases, start from the ground up. But I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I think with the U.S. they're kind of starting almost. It's almost like they're going to be starting from scratch again.
So you think Borrón y Nueva Cuenta, they're going to bring in some guy and they're going to do the 8-year plan?
Yeah, but I think if you have, I think they'll do well having a coach that knows the league, that knows the players. Because a lot of times you want to be able to have a team of local talent that you could count on, as opposed to just counting on like half a dozen players from Europe.
Okay, so here's my I will counter with this. Mexico and the U.S. both, more than any other top 20 teams in the world, have absolutely zero issue qualifying for the World Cup. In theory, I mean they should, and especially when it's going to be a 48-team World Cup. I mean they're going to be in the World Cup, in forever, in perpetuity. So knowing that it's almost a 95 to 99% certainty that you're going to be in the World Cup, wouldn't you want to get a coach then that can manage that, and get your players to manage that, as opposed to like you said, Joel, a guy like Bielsa will come in and start from the ground up and build the foundations and the philosophies and they can all that stuff, and then and see how it turns out. I mean, it's just it's certainly two different ways of looking at it. So I'm of the camp that maybe you should just have a tournament guy, because the other stuff is gonna you really control how much the player pool is going to expand in those 4 years? Not really. So what you have. I mean, is it a matter? I mean, do you want to force your players to just play in your system a system that they only see 5 times a year, if that, for 4 years, or do you play? It is certainly.
And you don't want you don't want the coach like with Klinsmann. He was the guy that was gonna take over the whole system, and that's just one guy. One guy can't do it all. Can't take over the youth system and run the youth teams.
Man.
So you need a group of people that are like-minded and on the same page.
But should the national team coach even be a part of that, of the cultivation of the player? I mean,
yeah, maybe not.
Should he play any role in that?
I think any head coach if they were to go with something like that, any head coach that they would get should be of similar philosophy. I do think that the youth team should be playing a similar style, and just grooming these players, the ones who are projected to possibly projected to have that same system installed. Yeah, I definitely think they should do that, and then just find a coach that'll kind of work with those types of players specifically in that style. You could find coaches, right?
Or you just tell the coach, "Hey, coach, this is my style. So this is what you're gonna have to coach the U15."
Well, no, because I wouldn't want. I have trouble believing that any kind of coach would be like, "All right, I'm gonna just play however you guys want." I think you definitely want to find a manager that fits. But I mean, realistically speaking, I don't think anybody would take the gig if they were like, "No, that's not how I'm going to play." So maybe I'm not your guy. So I doubt anybody would even take the gig if that were if they didn't agree to those conditions. But
would you agree to those conditions? I wish we had Profe. We'd ask him if Chivas came calling, and said they want you to coach the Fuerzas Básicas, but then they bring in who is the coach that Profe can't stand? Does he have any?
Chepo.
Yeah, if Chepo comes. Well, I thought that he was pro Chepo forever. You guys were like the biggest flag wavers for Chepo I'd ever seen.
We were official Chepo apologists.
You.
John, I was also probably one of the last guys to say, okay, maybe we need to fire him.
So all y'all. I've always said, I will give the coach, the benefit of the doubt, always, and the players too, for that matter.
It's just that start was so good.
Oh, of course, but to me, what did it for me was the Jamaica game in the Azteca, where like Jamaica should have won that game. I was like that should never happen, ever, and they just did not get better from there. And I remember talking to some guy in Houston. And I said Mexico's going to be lucky to either get the third place team or to have to go through. I mean, I wrote about it for months. They're going to have to go through Middle Earth because they're playing because they ain't going to win it themselves. It was yes. I mean, it was just whatever he was doing, it wasn't working. And I'm starting to see that with Chivas too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, and it's just whatever they're trying is just not working.
Well,
and
well, I'm gonna point out, a big part of it was the players. A lot of the players, they had a massive drop in quality. Players that like Guardado.
They all went into the slump at the same time.
Yeah, and you could see it, and I would point it out. You could see how bad they're doing because even when they have all this time on the ball, and all this space to do something, they would just send a really bad cross or make a really bad pass. And that to me was the giveaway, Well,
I agree with you. The players were in a bad spot. Oribe, who was playing outstanding, got hurt in the Conca Champions, and he was not available for some of those games or for the Confed Cup. But the one thing I'll always point to when the Chapologists come out when they mention that is he played a Gold Cup with a totally different group of players, and they suck just as bad.
Well, that I don't think he should have had. He should have played that,
But I firmly believe that if you're going to make a team play two sides or two tournaments in one summer, by FIFA mandate, the second team has to be a U23.
And
Yeah.
and you know
Yep.
what from that Gold Cup team, it was some of the younger guys, and they failed too. To give an impression.
Yeah, no, they did. I mean, that was Hulit's first chance, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, there were the only one that that had any kind of decent turnover was Raul Jimenez.
I was gonna say like
Yeah.
he's part of the team. Are there any others that are still part of that team? They're still in the.
I don't think so, man. That was Marco Fabian was the other one. Marco Fabian, our secret weapon in the upcoming World Cup.
Yeah, it was pretty bad to see so many players all of a sudden dropping form or not doing good, and it wasn't just with the national team; it was also at the club level.
No, you're right. I
John,
mean, they're players. It's like, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just thinking, like, since you mentioned Fabian, you think there's any chance that he might roll the dice and maybe put like Fabian on the right and have Herrera in the center?
I mean, I think that Fabian is gonna go. Pizarro has had his opportunities. Now Pizarro said, coach put me in a formation where I couldn't do anything, so I didn't do anything. He was quoted as saying that, which is very unfortunate.
Stupid too.
Yeah, not the smartest move by our boy Pizarro. But Pizarro had two chances to shine in tournament atmosphere, and in a high level game, and he did not pass the test in either of them, and it was against New York Red Bulls. In fact, I know that Chivas. The Chivas fans will say survive, and I get that. You got the result that you needed, that this and that, and I don't even mind playing a defensive 0-0. Chivas was not playing a defensive 0-0 in that game. Chivas was barely hanging on. I mean, their midfield did nothing to maintain possession that entire match. I know the other team was pressuring them, but come on, man. I mean, you guys face that all the time. I mean, you can't tell me that this is like a different kind of pressure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Similar to with the Chapo national team, with what's going on with Chivas, where you could see a lot of the players like a massive drop in form. Players, especially like Corbelin, who had been really consistent and
I believe
stand out.
Orbelin was called on this podcast by someone who I will not mention by name. Said that Orbelin was along with Jonathan the best Mexican midfielder playing in the world.
Oh man!
Last season. I'm not saying who said that. I'm not saying who said it.
Yeah,
wow.
A lot can change though, and
yeah,
and then the other guys, they'll give you one good game or two and then disappear, which is like Chofis, Brizuela, Pizarro. That's been going on with them too. And then Pulido, who much more was expected of him, and he rarely is like the player that's going to make a big difference.
He was the one that was chillando that there's no leaders. Like, dude, the leader, you're the leader.
Yeah,
he's also the one complaining that there weren't big enough players being signed. I'm like, dude.
Right. Like, they paid $20 million for you, dude.
You are that. That's like CR7 crying with Real Madrid or any team he goes.
Right.
Saying, yeah, we didn't sign any big players. But I think this is probably the first time we could say that going into a final that the MLS team is our favorites.
And prohibitive favorites.
And not only that, but they have the standout player.
Yep.
Usually it'll be the Liga MX team. They'll have some South American international or couple Mexican nationals that could tilt the game in their favor. But now it's the other way around. They have a well balanced club, and they have Giovinco, and who's shown that he could make a big difference.
Especially with a back line, especially with the center backs that Chivas is throwing out.
Yeah.
It's going to be scary. I think who plays on the left? What is it? Aris? No, or he plays.
Yeah, it was Aris on the left, and I think it was Cisneros on the right.
They're gonna have to put special attention on the guy to make sure that they don't wander off too recklessly pulling forward. Because I mean, if they leave him alone with Jair or
Yeah.
Well,
That's
Jair's going to
why
be out. He's going to be out for the first leg because he's still serving his 2-game suspension for
I just injured Joe Vico.
choking the
If I'm
guy.
Almeida, I'll put some reserve.
Hey,
in
I
the
will
first
say this
game.
for Almeida.
it's not a bad idea.
For
Put the ankles, pick the leg.
if you are going to have have an emergency replacement guy, I can't think in that position. I can't think of a better guy in Liga MX to have than Carlos Salcido, a 3-time World Cup veteran.
Yeah, but
Who? I mean, he may not be as fast, but
he's
just like
really
Rafa.
slow, man.
But yeah, but he knows his
Salcido's
angles,
done,
dude.
dude. Salcido's done.
I agree. He's not
But
fast.
he could take out a knee.
But
He's running
who would
on
you rather have, Salcido, or would you rather have some 19-year-old schlub?
I'd rather have Massa.
Has no idea. Well,
Did you see
Yo
what he
quiero-
pulled? I don't know if
man.
you really
Juegue
want
Massa.
Massa right now at this point.
Yo quiero que juegue Massa.
To his goalkeeper.
well, y'all can laugh about Salcido all you want. Did Chivas advance or not?
Hey, that's the problem I have.
And
Did
you know
just
what?
ask
He
if
did come
Chivas
up with
advanced?
he did come up with some pretty important interventions.
Yes, he did.
During the game.
That's crazy, man. It like you guys were talking about how roles have reversed, like Toronto, the MLS team being
Yeah.
having
Favorites.
the highlight player. The style of play and the getting to the final de panzazo is sort of roles reversal as
Yeah.
well, because normally it's the MLS team that's bunkering and is barely getting in or barely getting past, like flukishly getting past a Liga MX team, and now it's Chivas playing horrible but getting past. And then you have all these New York Red Bull fans, which is pretty hilarious, like saying that, is that all you got? Is that the best you have? And like the New York Red Bull fan TV has been hilarious.
It has
Well,
been.
And Chivas fans are still confident. They're like,
good enough to beat y'all. I mean, geez, really?
yeah, they're like, we like being the underdog. We like having this underdog mentality, and we're going to surprise you. We're going to come back, and
Are these Chivas
we may
fans saying
not have all the
this?
skill.
You said?
Yeah, well, they're
that's
they're
embarrassing.
fine. They're fine
That's embarrassing.
with being the underdog. They're
Any
like, think
Chivas-
we are the underdog.
I don't know, man. Help me out here. Am I wrong here, Joel? Any
right.
Chivista who considers themselves a Chivista should be like, no, we're favorites. We're Chivas.
So you're saying when somebody plays something, they should just respond with this, this.
Somos leyenda del fútbol mexicano.
Confidence.
That's right.
But
That's
it's like we're U.S. fans now. The Chivas fans have turned into U.S. fans, and
That's
sort
like
of
the saddest thing I've ever heard, man.
Well, then
from any fan of any grande.
So
No, but
this
see,
sad, Dan. This sad. Is it this sad for Chivas fans to act like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Might as well just
what, Dan?
might as well just
That-
give Toronto the trophy.
Ya de una vez. We just go for the shopping to Montreal and return. No, you're right. That should be the mentality. But Chivas hasn't really been grande, man. They're just in name and tradition, and since the Campeonísimo, they haven't come close to doing anything like that.
You know what Chivas is like right now? You know that.
They are just 1 year removed though from a championship.
Have you guys ever seen Sunset Boulevard?
No,
The movie?
I've heard of it.
No.
I highly recommend this. Y'all, this like if I ever, Chiquis, have you ever seen Sunset Boulevard?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's a movie from the 40s, 50s. It's Billy Wilder. It's with William Holden, who is playing a young Hollywood writer, who is hired to write a screenplay and he goes to this gigantic house in Hollywood, and it's a silent movie star who hasn't done anything in years. It's Nora Desmond, and Carol Burnett used to spoof her perfect when Harvey Korman would be the bald butler. I don't know if y'all ever remember seeing that.
No.
Okay. Anyway, it is a fantastic movie. What it is she was yesterday's star. She still thinks that she's massive, right? She thinks that she's all that. That's what Chivas is. That's what Chivas is, the Nora Desmond of Liga MX right now.
Damn. Snap.
See, one thing, like I have to agree with Joel that Chivas isn't grande in as far as the way they play and the quality play that they have right now. But as far as an overall historical team, they are grande because they have won many tournaments, just like America.
Who?
And
Who?
Chivas.
Who?
Chivas.
Joel. Joel, when was the last time that the Chivas won the Conca Champions? Go ahead.
I'm talking about
Please.
Liga MX.
No,
As a Liga
yeah,
MX
League.
team,
Oh, okay. Liga
as a
MX.
Mexican team,
Yeah.
Chivas is grande and they are the most popular, but that doesn't mean that in any given tournament they can totally suck and totally fail.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
they've
there
proven
is-
that. They've proven
Yeah.
that time and time again.
yeah, they're a team that has, you know, for a supposed big team, they miss on Liguilla too often. You know,
They're part of the
they're more-
relegation drama.
They're
They've
like
been part of the relegation. That's
Yeah.
unacceptable too.
Chivas is like the most popular mid-table team, I'll say.
Fans expect this, and the reality is that fans get this.
It's really like you guys were talking about the globalization of Liga MX. In this tournament, Liga MX is sort of really blown up in the U.S., especially New York and well, in the U.S. overall, because New York fans are seeing who Chivas really is. They're seeing them play in their own city, and supposedly like one of the best, the Grandes from Mexico comes over and
Yeah,
barely
because
beats New York, and so they're thinking,
I mean,
well, Mexico sucks.
Well, no, it's the Chivas hype train, you know. They are a very overhyped team, so they are expecting that team is gonna come and they have for the most part at least uh, been able to play attractive football, but then what they got to see was the complete opposite. So
Yeah, that was
I
definitely
understandable.
You see, but what does that say about New York Red Bulls? That if Chivas is playing, because I mean, Chivas was defensive, and they were going to be defensive, and that's fine. I get that, but aside from that,
Yeah,
they were
neither team went out there
terrible.
looking good.
Yeah, they were absolutely terrible. They could not keep. I mean, they were giving the ball to New York Red Bulls like 4 or 5 times. You know, just outside their attacking third, and Red Bulls did not.
Both sets of
in
fans
any
should have
way-
just walked away with their head hanging.
Yeah, exactly. Did not in any way capitalize on any of that. I mean, I was thinking, man, if Chivas is playing this bad and these guys can't take advantage, what does that say about you? I mean, it really was. It was,
I mean, it was
and
almost
believe me,
miraculous.
and I would say this if the roles were reversed. I mean, I'm not trying to bash MLS sides at all. It's just that for a team that was playing as poorly as Chivas was, you know, philosophy or tactics or whatever their tactics, they may have executed them, but just barely, because the entire match they were hit. I mean, they finally have a chance to seal it, right? They have a 2-on-1 breakaway, and the guy decides to take a shot from 30 yards. I mean, it was just poor decision making the entire night for Chivas. It was ugly. I mean, I don't think any Chivas fan watching that game, even after they survived, even after they didn't get the result they needed in advance. I mean, I mean, they played as poor a match as they'd played all year. It was, and the one that played in Guadalajara really wasn't that much better either. I mean,
But you know what this is, though, right, John?
They're just setting them up, or are they laying the trap?
Rope-a-dope.
They're
Someone
laying
talked
the
about it
trap
on Big Soccer.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Rope-a-dope. They're just pretending to be knocked out right now, man. They're pretending to be overrun.
Okay, I see. So they're
Are they
gonna
also
pounce on them like they
pretending
did
in
on
the league?
Tigres.
Exactly.
Are they also?
No. So they're going to come out with Toronto. Toronto's going to be thinking, yeah, we got this, man. We took out we took out the biggest team in Mexico and the most successful team in recent time in Mexico. I'm like, we got these guys. And then they're going to come out swinging, dude. Nobody even expected it, and they're just going to take them out.
And which one of the Chiva hermanos, theory is this the prevailing thought? Has this virus infected all of the hermanos?
No, this was just something that a vision I've just had.
Oh, okay.
And I just started thinking, I was like, you know what? This is a pretty good team, and they didn't look nearly that bad when they played in Jalisco. I'm like, so they're not that bad, as they played in New York.
Well, but I mean, and that's the point, though. You're right. I mean, they were
really overrun. That's why something was a bit of a miss, though, because I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Chivas one of the most well-conditioned teams in Mexico? I mean, so they would be able to keep up with the intensity of the game.
Well, the thing that I noticed more than anything was anytime there was a one-on-one battle for the ball, when you're going hombro a hombro, the Chivas players hardly ever won it. I mean, they were discarded like someone shucking.
Well,
a
I
New
think
York
the
ball.
Red Bulls were coming in a little bit more. They were coming in no matter what, later or before, and I think that some of the Chivas players were backing off.
As when I was playing in my youth, as a Mexican-sized type of person, I would hate those huge gringo centrales, man. It's just like unless you're playing a tiki-taka type of a good style type of play, huge physical center backs, man, they can stop your game really fast, and it's depressing.
You got to use it against them, man.
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the basic tenets of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
to use your opponent's strength against them?
Yeah. So you got to use technique, skill, instead of trying to do these corner kicks.
Pizarro has to harness his inner Cuauhtemoc.
He's got to harness something because the boy's got a golden opportunity to make the World Cup, and he has not delivered. I mean, I know that we have a lot of Pizarro fans that are on the show that listen to the show, but in these two games, I mean, in this last game, I mean, I didn't even. The only time I noticed him playing is when he had that ridiculous. Oh, I can't believe I just did that look on his face because he had just was terribly, or just inadvertently dispossessed himself.
Did you see his comments about Osorio? He doesn't feel he's been getting the proper chance with the national team. Yeah, so he's been complaining a little bit, which I don't know how that'll affect his chance.
Well, someone like you, Beto, that's got to be raising some red flags, right, about his character?
Yeah, so I think it's worse. I think it's bad for him.
It raises red flags for me, for sure.
I can handle things. I'm smart.
I mean, come on, dude. Sarah, I mean, when someone asks you that question, as a, and honesty is a good thing, but I mean, you can be honest and say things in a way that just don't sound unfortunate. So, the profe, had us in a formation that didn't take advantage. However you say it, just don't say, hey, man, we were playing this thing and no one could do anything, and I could do what I wanted to do, but everyone else sucked too, so it's no big deal.
It's stupid. Just take it on the chin. Just say you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't adapt to what profe wanted me to do, and because as such, I did not have my best game. I'm looking forward to my next opportunity.
There's just something that's be said, like when you just like accept your failure for that in that moment, and just like, look, man, I didn't get the job done. I'll try harder next time if there is a next time. Hopefully there is a next time. Just be humble about it and take it, but to just throw it on the coach, because what's his excuse now? He's playing the position he wants, and he's not exactly. I mean, they eked by, but he's not exactly throwing him over his shoulder. It's like, don't worry, guys, I got this. It's not exactly that.
Man, I used to have an apology on here, and I don't have it anymore. It's unfortunate. No, you're right. It's he's had his opportunity. Chivas, and to the random poster's credit, Dan, who mentioned that about Chivas is they're the Almeida 4D chess of playing possum right now.
I want to say it was Don Bopero.
Really?
3000, yes.
It frankly, I mean, I mean, let's be honest, raise the hands, but when Chivas played Tigres, who on earth thought that Chivas would be up 2-0 in the first half in that game?
That's a good point. No one saw that. Yeah.
So yeah, and Almeida, back to what we were talking about before. I mean, he is a tournament guy, and if I were Mexico, I would take a long, hard look at Almeida, just because of that fact that he knows how to get results in tournaments. Because Mexico, like the U.S. or country, yes, you need to do all that stuff, but you want to get as far as you can. In
well, you're getting a bit too much credit there. I think,
Joel, how many trophies has Almeida won since he's been there?
Like 5. But
how many trophies did the previous 15 guys before? After Chepo won a title.
But we have to keep in mind, the majority of those were, not to take credit from them, but they were two Copa MX where not all the best teams play. Some of the other teams just send in their
True, but
bench.
but
And
once they
then
get to the advanced rounds, what teams show up to play those tournaments?
it
When they
depends.
beat Leon, when in a great game, mind you, when they beat Leon, was that the Chivas A team going up against Leon's A team?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I mean,
The answer to
let,
that is yes.
let's not, stray off. And then you had that one-off cup that they play, like the Super Copa. So that's been the bulk. But if you look at his results in league. So if you look at the league as qualifiers and Liguilla as a tournament, he's missed out on a lot of. I think it's been three now. Liguillas that he has missed out on. And then when he
Okay,
got to
Joel,
play,
I
when he
agree with
did
you.
play, when he played Liguilla, he got eliminated twice in the first round.
Okay,
The only time he made it far was when they won the tournament.
right.
So I mean, I do think Copa MX has made him look way better, coach. Copa MX, because he was able to get to three finals, and then he played that one-off cup, which was a Copa de Campeones or something like that.
Me voy a subir al. I'm gonna jump. Be the first to jump on the
Okay.
on Almeida for 2018
Okay.
ship.
I'm
Because
just
I mean,
saying.
remember, there's ya no van a haber eliminatorias, Joel, because like 10 teams from CONCACAF are going to qualify for the World Cups right now. If Mexico doesn't make that, pues ¿para qué están jugando?
No, I know, but I would still put Liga MX Liguilla. To me, the Liga MX Liguilla, I'll still see it as a stronger tournament than CONCACAF or Copa MX.
But he still managed to get through one,
Yeah, one out of
and he's won
four.
two Copa MX, and if he wins, then if he wins the Conca Champions, then he'll win the Conca Champions.
He wins, and then he goes to.
Well, keep in mind, Joel. I mean, you're knocking him for some of the tournaments, some of the ligas that he didn't make. Had his team not played that terribly during the regular season and they made the playoffs, they could have won. Just saying. No, actually, you know what? Just thinking about his success as in these cup tournaments makes me think that if maybe he wouldn't be the world's worst pick for Mexico.
Yeah, but what big teams did he knock out? He didn't really knock out any big teams.
Joel, who in their right mind that's coaching outside of Mexico would ever consider coming to Mexico the way that they treat coaches? I mean, who were they going to get?
I mean, but I think that Mexico, and I think that was a big reason why Osorio has stayed on for so long. At least they got rid of that other part of one bad tournament and you're out. So, he had that really bad tournament, the Chile, the Boda Roja, and he's still going to the World Cup. So I think at least they managed to right some wrongs as far as like they're not just gonna.
What I'm saying is that they're not gonna. I mean, that's the whole point. Is that there's, I mean, they're gonna make the World Cup, so they have. I don't know if the Confed Cup's gonna happen anymore. I'm not sure about that, but they'll have a Copa America for sure. And then a couple of Gold Cups. So I mean, they have. I mean, that's what they should be concentrating on. How are they
the
going
league, the CONCACAF league.
Right. Oh, good Lord! Of course. How could I have forgotten about the CONCACAF league? Yes, indeed, exactly. Yeah. So they have. So yeah, it's. I mean, who else are they going to get? Are they going to bring in? A Bielsa is Pellegrini just itching to coach Mexico?
Well, I mean, he's coached in Mexico.
I know he's coached.
Money's right. I see him coming back.
You do. Now, honestly, that would thrill me to no end. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just don't see with the reputation of the FMF the way it is that them attracting that kind of coach. It's just not going to happen. So they have to look around what they have in front of them. To me, if you want to go the other way, then maybe take the guy from Pachuca.
Or the Santos coach if he keeps on his. If he keeps if he keeps the way
Yeah, but
he's going.
maybe they should bring Chepo back.
No, Chepo still needs to prove himself.
I
I'd
need
say
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
that was bad.
give, give, he could work his way up from Liga de Ascenso, even though there's no relegation.
Ouch. Ouch. You've already sent him down to Liga Ascenso.
He needs to
What
start
happened,
somewhere.
What happened, Joel?
No, he just needs to be somewhere where he could do his thing for a while.
He needs to do the eastbound and down, and go down to
Go down.
get out of the fancy gyms and go work in the hot sweaty one. Is that
You
what
know
Chepo
what?
means?
He should come to MLS. Come to MLS, do something good, maybe, look good in the Conca Champions.
Beat a Mexican team in the Conca Champions.
Yeah, and then come back. Because we don't really have that many. I don't think we have any coaches right now coaching abroad, I should say.
No, there isn't. Piojo was the one that was poised to have the best shot, but his once again his mouth wrote him a check, his butt couldn't cash.
And now there's like none.
Yeah, I mean, and then anytime that there's a young Mexican coach, they give him such a short leash that the minute things look bad, pa fuera. I mean, they just did it to Rafa Puente.
No, shame.
I mean, how is that?
MJP.
Go ahead, Chiquis.
MJP on the chat says Profe Cruz for La Selección.
Oh, come on, man. Profe Cruz. Why don't we have Ruben Omar Romano? They can compare how many, or Flaco Tena, they compare how many times their subway card has been punched by all the teams they've coached. Ay. Yeah, but see,
his arguments, he got Liguilla to multiple, or he got Atlas to multiple Liguillas, and Chiapas to fourth in Libertadores. Atlas. So.
Oh, but that was when they got drilled by they went 2-2. I remember that. They went in the Bombonera, tied 2-2 in the first leg. So you're thinking they got this in the bag. And they came back, and within like 15 minutes, it was 3-0 already. Boca Juniors in the second leg, and they were done. So no thanks for Profe. The one that would fit the bill is Vucetich, but he's never going to coach the national team ever again. So, I mean, what are their realistic options?
How dare you, John? You're going to call him out?
Who?
You're going to call him out on his failure?
Who, Vucetich?
No. Profe Cruz. I mean, you're going to call him out on his failure? What about your boy? Your boy failed.
Who, Tuca?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tuca's not a viable option. Tuca's he's retired in 2 years, so his Tuca's best chance to coach the World Cup was this one, and it should have happened. Frankly.
He didn't want it?
No, he didn't. He didn't want to deal with the extra cancha stuff. It's unfortunate for Tuca, but seriously, who is the pool of coaches? So I think Almeida's one. Diego Alonso's the other for Pachuca. I think he's going to be an option if he doesn't go to Pumas, which I think Pumas is going to finally open up the checkbook. And outside of those two, and then Joel said maybe the guy from Santos.
No, I mean that guy is new. I was just throwing his name, but whoever wins the Liga MX is going to be flavor of the month.
Well, it's true. I mean, Mohamed was being rumored quite a bit until.
Yeah, he fell. His
until he got Monterrey.
I'm actually okay with Mohamed. I mean, seriously. I mean,
me too.
I'll be totally fine.
But the thing with Mohamed is that he's been having too many problems with the locker room, and then that's just you don't want that in a coach where
Is that his problem everywhere, or is it just here? Is it?
Well, not
has it been
twice.
everywhere?
No, but then he wasn't. It was just recent with Monterrey.
I just remember, like the fans at the Azteca singing his name, dude. I mean, that was cool, man.
No, he's a fan favorite, even in Huracan, in Argentina, and in Tijuana. So but I mean, the Monterrey is his latest. So I mean, you're gonna judge him more, which is more recent work.
Well,
Chivas really a grande? Is that what you guys are asking?
over Macho Grande? No.
I tweeted Rigo and he appeared. He woke up from his slumber.
He said his name 3 times.
Rigo Joel was trashing your boy Pizarro. I mean, almost. I mean, it was epic level. It was.
Oh no.
Let me explain. Let me
I'll
explain.
turn
It was.
this
It was.
back.
It was
What I
just.
missed?
It was rough. It was rough.
No. Actually, John is throwing the hot potato at me.
Stirring the
but
pot.
He's projecting.
John was saying that you were calling Orbelin the top.
No,
Mexican.
that was me who said that. I said that.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I was the one who said it.
Oh, you said someone whose name I don't want to say. I thought,
Yeah, me.
Rigo's not
It
here.
was my name. It was my name.
Orbelin is the top what?
No, I remember before the Confed Cup, I said that along with Jonathan, Orbelin was the best at the time, the best Mexican midfielder in the world.
Yeah, I think he was. At that
I don't think
time,
there's any debate in that.
arguably, he was.
I think at the time.
See, we got Rigo so mad his internet cut out. Poor guy.
No, he was. I think at the time the con was definitely one in CantinaMX. I think now one him off Chivas. He's useless.
He's almost as useless as Pizarro.
No, come on, John. Come on.
Dude, I know Pizarro is a good player. Sometimes he can be a great player, but in both of these legs, you were there, dude. He did not acquit himself well. He was the highest. They was
the lines of to be honest, to me, Red Bulls did an amazing job of not letting Chivas play. Like, and there would be 3 guys from the Red Bulls on him. The guy
And what did Pizarro try to do to those? He tried to dribble through them instead of trying to find
through them. Yeah, but it felt like for him, like nobody was dropping down to get open. Was watching. I'm like, and it felt like
they did not help
like
themselves. It was a mess.
No, it was bad. If Red employs the same tactics that Red Bulls did, which if they want to win, I mean, if it will make things easier for them, then it's a long series for Chivas because Chivas were not able to do anything. I mean, it felt like to neutral is attack, and then they weren't doing more than that. But they really anything. Like nobody could. Like if they strung together, like it was just too much.
No, they only had one in the whole 90 minutes. I think they only had like one
in the second half
sequence at the very beginning where they had
together.
That was it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I guess that's why I
like,
know that in New York and they did in the first game. They did an outstanding job of pressure. I don't think there's any question of that. But what it also did was that when they weren't pressuring them, Chivas was hearing the footsteps, and I mean, I don't know how many times they just gave the ball away inside their own half, and it just put them in terrible situations. But the worst part about it was that the Red Bulls just could not capitalize, and they had just gobs of opportunities. And it's like if Chivas is playing this bad and you guys can't beat them, that does not make you all look that much better.
It made Red even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it also really to make a mistake instead of trying to score themselves. Like it was more like let's capitalize on something they do wrong. And I mean that backfired leg in the second leg, it like they just weren't like they were a ton of opportunities and they just couldn't. I mean, to me as a Chivas fan, like if I would have just gone to watch the game, I would have been extremely excited. But we played terrible, and we couldn't target. Like,
well, there was only one shot.
But I guess, like during the league, we play very well, and we don't win. take? Do you take advancing even though you play bad, or do you take and you play?
Well, it is
Could go either way.
survive and advance is what
But we're going with, yeah.
is what you, and you know what, that's, I don't know how many times I've seen a team that I follow, be on the business end of a team of just not being able to beat a team, and not necessarily just playing defensively, but it's just kind of giving it to you, and then you're not taking advantage. It's just it's frustrating. So, Chivas fans should be. I'm not gonna say relieved or thankful. They should be. Hey, man, this is a tournament. We're in the final. No one expected us to be here, and now Dan had mentioned earlier that apparently some Chivas fans were like happy to be the underdog. As a Chivas fan, are you happy to be the underdog against Toronto?
No, I mean, as a Chivas fan, me personally, I'm always expecting them to be in contention. If you're in a tournament, you need to be in contention for that title, dog. But I and
Yeah, but what has Chivas done in their history since you've been alive?
Good for you, Rigo. Good for you. Good for you, man.
To put that kind of pressure on Chivas, because frankly, they just haven't delivered. In your life,
since I've been alive, in Super Chivas, and then the last half of the '90s, and then in the 2000s, we've had 2004 final, 2006 final, Copa Libertadores, and it's been throughout the whole. I think.
So if you were a Chivas farmer, and your product was Chivas, it has not been a good 20 years to be a Chivas farmer. Is what?
No, I mean
it
has
sounds
not.
like. No,
it has not. But
so I mean, so why have that expectation then? I mean, if your expectation when they're going to come in and they're going to kick some ass in every tournament and make, it's like, come on, it's like what have they ever done consistently to show you that
I just think when your
expectation,
consider yourself, and when you consider yourself and you one of the big teams in the league, you got expectations. You can't go into you got to have big expectations. You can't have
Chivas trophies for Chivas fan. It's a carbon 14 date, and you can instantly tell how old a Chivas fan is.
Man, dude, you're really enjoying this, John. It's terrible, dude.
by how many championships they've been alive or they've witnessed. It's a. But I shouldn't talk because every time I do this, something, like it's like a curse I put on Pumas, and tomorrow they'll say, you know what, all that stuff we were talking about getting rid of relegation for the next 2 years, it's not going to happen. And then of course, Pumas will be in hell for.
Lucky for us neutrals. Either way, I'm laughing.
Yeah. I personally believe that Chivas is in a perfect position for this game, just like they were against Tigres in the final. I think that they can really, really, really take advantage of Toronto if they can do it early. I think they should, and if they can sneak one by, even better. And they should play like they have absolutely nothing to lose, and they should just go out and play and not play this ridiculous the defensive formation that they do.
They just need to play like they did a year ago, and then I think they have a more than decent chance of winning.
I don't think Toronto is going to play Chivas the same way Red Bulls did,
which is a shame.
Yeah, Toronto's going to try to, kind of they played America, and the same way they played, sit back, let them bring the game to you. That's style. And I think it. To be honest, even though Chivas beat Red Bulls, I think that style suits them more. They try and neutralize Javinko the same way they neutralized in the final a year ago with him. And now Tiquinhac was in the first leg, but I think it'll be not the. You guys there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, if I was a betting man, I know, but I'm gonna root for Chivas.
Well, I do think that Chivas is the underdog. So I just accept it for folks that don't see it that way. But I do think that Toronto has vulnerability. I don't think that they're unbeatable. I think that Chivas has, and they just need one guy to get hot at the right time. And then I think if that happens, then I think it's going to be very contagious for Chivas. I think that this is what they've been playing for this uh, since August is to be in this and to be in this final. So they have a
He's got
final.
trophies healthy, ready.
Warming up the other day. I don't know if he's going to play, but I saw him warming up. I think it's good that Saldívar is back.
Did you maintain the court ordered minimum 400 feet distance between you and the trophies?
I was having a very hard time not jumping over and hugging him. I was hugged Almeida. Thank him for all the positivity he's brought. But I stayed away from both of them.
You threw your thong at him?
I was gonna just throw my shirt off and just throw it at him. Like, please sign this.
Yeah.
Hug.
Jim, sign your chest. Sign your pecs.
Yeah. I was like, boobs. Sign my forehead. Something. And I was surprised he didn't play because he was warming up. He was warming up before the game, and he looked like he was fine, but
he only
definitely
made
missed.
Substitution, right? Like in the 91st minute.
Yeah, what the hell? If it was,
I don't think you wanted to waste the time.
Yeah, more time.
Yeah, and honestly, the fact that they gave New York Red Bulls 3 minutes stoppage time, I was like, where are y'all getting 3 minutes? Because nothing happened.
There was at all.
It was
no, but I mean, to be honest, like, I'm a Bulls fan, they're all disappointed, and I'm like, I thought you guys had a great tactically. They did, aside from not scoring, they did everything else that they needed to do. Personally, if I was Bulls coach, I would have just said, because that would have hurt Chivas more. Allowing Chivas to sit, be fixed on there was not helpful. Although they still got by, they were making Alanis look silly.
How did our boy Salcido do?
He was probably the better, like, colmillo, as they say in Mexico. He was to his own beat. This is the one that venture outside. He looks like he's easily beat by speed. There was in my heart, every single time the Red Bulls were getting close.
All right. I don't want to get too deep into Chivas talk, although I know it does tend to dominate. But I do want to talk. Last week we had Tom Harrison on, and it was talking about how Toluca was gonna kind of peter out. Well, they haven't petered out yet, but they did have. I don't know if y'all saw it last night in the Copa MX final, like the most brutal autogol
loss ever.
Man, that was just. In the 87th minute on a rebanada, just right into just, bouncing, at the worst possible long, slow bounce, just death bounce into the goal. It was just endless. The poor play would never end for that guy. And then Necaxa with Nacho Ambriz, one of the few Mexican coaches in Liga MX, winning, if I'm not mistaken, the first trophy. The Necaxa, aside from winning promotion, that Necaxa has won since they've moved to Aguascalientes. So the fans got a real treat that were there last night. So they saw the first time they won anything there for the Rayos.
I was happy that they won.
Yeah,
What do you guys think of Angel Reina?
I was hoping.
I think he's been having a good season.
Go ahead, Dan.
Away from Necaxa's victory, but that the question was why bringing it up.
Dan.
I think it was me that
Oh, was it you, Chiquis? Go ahead.
I said nah. I don't. He had a chance in his peak era, and I don't think he impressed.
I was hoping that. I was hoping that if he was going to get hot like early in offense, so that he might have a chance to make the World Cup team. But I mean, they've been just on crazy fire, and so they've been and of course Santos they put a good whooping. Who was it that the Santos put a whooping on? Dan. I guess Dan has stepped away.
Sorry.
That's all right. It's all right. Who did Santos put a whooping on over the weekend? Was it Querétaro?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
Yes,
it was a thorough whooping. Yeah, so both those teams are in the league. Yeah, they're and there's like out of the remaining 16 teams.
It wasn't that honestly though that the scoreline was a bit misleading. It wasn't a great performance. At least I didn't think it was. I mean, they got the job done, but I thought it was a flattering 3-0.
Kind of like the Mexico-Iceland 3-0.
Yes. Like it didn't make me feel like any more comfortable going into the following week. I mean, happy about the 3 points, but I want to see that form before the international break. So
right. So they have those 2 teams have made the postseason, so they're in. And then out of the remaining 16 teams that are in, like 14 of them have, still have possibilities of making the postseason. It goes to show you the excitement of the parity that Liga MX has to have, for some of these for a team like my Pumas that hasn't won since mid-February. Now over 2 months. Actually, might even be early February. It was a long time ago. I know it was in the dead of winter. And they're still only 2 points out of getting a chance to make the post. So if they go on a 3-game win streak, they'll be in. If anybody goes on a 3-game win streak that hasn't qualified, they'll be in.
They're in.
They will make if they're like in 4. If Chivas could win 3 in a row, and they would make.
If Chivas goes on a 3-game, yeah, they're in.
Chivas is not gonna win 3 games in a row, unfortunately. Right. Though, who'd they lose to? Was it Veracruz?
Veracruz. 20 seconds in, it was.
That's right. It was Benjamin Galindo Jr. who just had a loose back pass that got intercepted. And how do you do? And welcome to Liga MX, rookie. And they scored, and they played the remaining 89 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, it was oof.
Veracruz is not a pushover, man. Terrible as they are.
I feel like for 90 minutes we like dominated them.
If I'm not mistaken, not only is Veracruz playing themselves out of relegation, I believe that they have played themselves into the Liguilla zone.
But this week, and the Chivas is able to back.
And it just, I have to admit, as a Pumas fan, there's nothing more ass chapping than seeing Memo Vasquez, who has been successful everywhere he's been, who is, he's a Puma. His dad was a Puma. They both, I mean, he has his Puma in his blood, and then he goes to Pumas and either makes them champs or takes them to the final, and then they get rid of him. It's like it makes no sense. And he took he was the coach at Cruz Azul when they had the against Club America when when Moises scored.
I'm afraid I just blew myself.
And so he has had success, and he's having this. Yeah, they're in 9th place. They are tied
Yeah,
for 7th place. They are goal differential out of being in the league right now.
yeah. It's a three-way tie at 18 points with Tijuana, Pachuca, and Veracruz. And
So
then
there you have it. Yeah, so Pumas is at 17, so they're 1 point out from the postseason. Guadalajara is only 3 points out. So again, if they win 3 in a row, I stand.
yeah, but they have two road games, and then they close against León at home. It's not very favorable. And then
they're on the road.
It's better for them to be on the road, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're going up against some teams that like they're going up against Cholos and then against Atlas. And Chaflas, that's
who are also.
What happened?
Yeah, but Chaflas has been terrible this year.
They beat us. If I'm not mistaken, they beat us last season. They beat Chivas. So I mean, it's a whole Clásico thing. You could be bad, but once you get to that match, you go all out. Especially a team like Atlas, that's where they get a bonus if they could. That would be a triumph for them to knock out or prevent Chivas from qualifying. That would be.
Yeah, but you know that every time that Atlas sets that kind of goal or motivation, that just, I mean, I don't have to finish the sentence before you started laughing. I mean, it's Atlas. I thought it was very interesting that Tom Marshall said that Atlas was becoming like the hipster team to root for. Well, they must be Smiths fans because they're just I mean they're just constantly depressed watching Atlas. Morrissey would be an Atlas fan, I think. Just if he just wants to just just pull his eyes out watching a team, that's the team for you. Are you too happy in your life? Do you need some misery? Have I got the team for you? Atlas.
Yeah, that's probably what keeps Cruz Azul fans from, going overboard.
Speaking of which, Joel, have you still?
No nos merecemos este equipo y no nos merecen como afición.
Are you still firm on your positions
Yes.
on the M? Okay. All
Yes,
right,
I am. No changes.
You haven't thought about it anymore. Now we do have a new correspondent who joined us earlier this week. After Tuesday night, he has also given us his thoughts.
El América es una mierda.
So we're covered.
Yes,
we are covered on all.
I'm so excited that we're now have that as a soundbite.
See, normally I wouldn't play something like that, but if it's an Americanista that says it, that kind of all bets are off, right?
Yeah, no, you have to.
Yeah,
I mean that whole soundbite is amazing.
That's the referee one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I feel like that's why I have this one because it's
what you just
said. That one. This one.
Primero que nada hay que felicitar a Chivas porque ganaron bien. La neta, hay que dejarnos de tonterías.
She's very respectful at the very beginning. It's another Americanista. I love Americanista angst on these things.
That referee one is top notch.
It is pretty good. It is. It is definitely with something. We have some great ones. We have Gonzalo.
Yeah, Gonzalo.
So we have Gonzalo. We have our favorite Puma kid.
No sirve para nada.
So we are covered. We have covered all bases. See, Dan, you better hope that you don't have like a famous Santos fan do something awful in a big game.
We gotta add the New York Red Bull fan TV one. That guy had some legit points. Yeah, Metro fan.
I have yet to hear that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That is one that I have.
It rustled Chivas fans, but it was pretty funny.
So Arch Bell was on with us earlier, and he we talked a little Spain. He got to spend some time in Spain when he was younger, and he actually works for a couple of Spanish publications. And he said that he fully expects Spain to win their group in advance in first place, and then make it at least to the quarter. As actually said, the semifinals, and in which they would probably have to play either Argentina or France in the quarterfinals to, and then play the other in the semis, depending on how the draw breaks out. So if that's the case, does the Spain make another? Can they make another final if they can get by the quarterfinals?
I have Spain winning the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. I just think they have the best team, and they have the best team. Like line, if you go line for line, they have the best line for.
So you think that they're the deepest team in the tournament?
Yeah. If you look at the back line, I mean, Brazil maybe has the second best back line compared to Spain, with Alba, Piqué, Ramos, and Carvajal.
He did say that that Piqué and Ramos are frenemies.
Yeah, no, they're good friends in the national team, and then they hate each other on the for clubs.
So they're like at the Rocky II phase of their relationship with Creed.
Yeah, they're like Apollo and Rocky.
As Arch said, they haven't run on the beach yet. Is how he put it. So you have Spain winning the whole thing.
It's really a shame Ronnie's not here because he really loves himself some Rocky references. We all do.
By bringing up the Rocky reference, it's like when we used to play. We're talking about La Volpe when Fernando would show up.
That's right.
It was a miracle. Maybe we'd talk a little Rocky. Get. Of course, we could also play this for Ronnie at the really.
You got the touch.
See, I can't play that because it upsets Joel because it says it upsets his childhood. When I play that clip, brings back bad memories.
No, that's the Parchís.
Oh, is that that?
Yes.
No, Joel had that.
The other one,
Joel is the one person where he hears that song and it makes him think about Transformers, where the rest of us makes us think about
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights, yeah.
Yeah. That's from the Transformers movie when they kill Optimus.
Really?
Rodimus becomes the new leader.
So did you watch Transformers and Thundercats? Were they on at the same time?
I don't remember, but I did watch both.
So I think I was too old for Thundercats. I missed out on the Thundercats phenomenon.
Thundercats was amazing.
You just missed it. Thundercats was pretty dope.
Now Arch did say, Dan, that he was in Spain when Ronaldo had his pre-knee injury phenomenal season for Barcelona.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You know what I heard about that injury was that because if you see pictures of him when he was really young, he was like a really thin frame.
Right.
And then as he got older, just very muscular. And I forgot who it was, some dude that said it. And then they kind of like got rid of that interview. But he was saying that. And then this was back when Robinho was coming out, and Robinho was supposed to be Neymar. And he said we have to take better care of him because we didn't do it with Ronaldo, and they beefed him up with all these steroids. So that guy was saying that, they gave him too many growth hormones that his ligaments couldn't sustain all that added muscle.
Wow.
That's an accusation, man. Quite.
Yeah, and if you see pictures, man, it was like the transformation is like it's a big difference.
I bet you that even as back to normal human being version of himself that he is now, little heftier. I bet you he could still just rock it on the field.
He plays 7-7, Cascarita.
Exactly. That was a guy I was working with on Copa America who. One of his first gigs, he said he got to do like a Real Madrid charity match where it was like an old timers game, and Puskás was there, and Puskás, he said, had to weigh 300 pounds. He said he was just massive. He said, but no one could take the ball away from him, and he was still kicking everyone's ass. Even at as old as he was, as heavy as he was that good.
Hacía quiebres con la panza.
Yeah. Anyway, well, besides, Puskas had a panza when he played. Have you ever seen pictures of him? I mean, he was.
You saw his panza going one way, and then he was.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's running the other way.
That is the one player I regret not really knowing that much, or seeing as much footage about, just because just reading about him, you were thinking, man, this guy was like the guy for 10 years. Just a phenomenal player. Should have won a World Cup, but it didn't work out for them. And we've never seen or heard from them, from the Hungarians, ever again. And they and Uruguay were like the powers up until right after World War II. Y se acabó. They were the ones that came to England in a friendly and whooped them 8-3 in a friendly. You know how English fans feel about their football, and I think that he scored a big chunk of those in that game. So that was one of his more famous. And of course he was with Real Madrid with Di Stefano and the other guy whose name I can't remember. Like a triumph. It was anyway.
What does the name start with? With C?
I can't. It's yeah. It's gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, but yeah, they were the team that won the first 5 Champions Leagues in a row or whatever it was. Just insane. Very very good players. So Rigo, does Chivas do they take the Conca Champions, or are they gonna succumb to Toronto and be the first MLX team to lose a Conca Champions final to a non-Liga MX team?
Wait, did Pumas lose to Saprissa?
Yeah, but that was before that was in a different format.
That was a different format.
Jeez, Joel, you're just coming in hard and heavy. Ouch.
John's like, yeah, but that was different.
He went right for the jugular.
He did.
He went right for your neck. Yeah, he did not hold back.
Not.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying we can't have that distinction, you know. We could be the second one.
That was.
John's been dishing it out a little bit himself. So
that is true.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of feel like we're gonna win.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Yeah. I don't know who that guy is in the podcast, but he's right.
Arch?
No. The guy who said that really got out of hand fast.
Oh.
No,
Ron Burgundy?
I think Chivas wins.
What a shock.
Not because I'm a Chivas fan, just because of how things have been going for them. You go to Cibao, you can't win, or you barely win. You go to the Sounders and you lose, and then you come back and beat the Sounders when nobody thought you were going to win. You barely.
So now when no one really thinks you're going to win, we got right where we want.
I thought they would win, the Sounders.
They scraped by the Red Bulls, and now absolutely nobody gives them a chance to win versus Toronto, which is the same thing that happened versus Figueres. And it kind of, I feel like that gives them extra motivation.
So maybe then Chivas, you guys have been laughing about it. So maybe then Chivas should relish their
underdog
role
status
as underdogs, as a little team that no one, the cardiac Chivas, that no one gives them a chance.
I don't know. I feel like they are.
I got them winning too, Rigo.
I feel like the times that they've been the underdog, they've taken advantage of that.
But for a big Mexican team to
be the underdog,
to be an underdog against the supposedly inferior MLS retirement league, it's sort of saying something.
They're from Canada. It's different. It's Canadian.
No, that's no different. That's no different. Canada.
No.
They play
first of all,
just like they do in Liga MX.
First of all, Canadians, they invented French fries with gravy and cheese, which is phenomenal.
Canada is just in name only. It's an American league.
Tim Hortons is a great donut place as well.
Hey, dude,
Toronto's
miel de
great,
maple
too.
is delicious, dude.
Yes.
Yes, it is. You put that on your pancakes or in your waffles. I mean, they have a lot of advantages. Bret Hart is from Canada. They have a lot of great actors from Canada. I mean, there's a lot of greatness coming from Canada. We
John
oversee
Candy,
it.
Canadians. What about the Canadian league though? The Canadian Soccer League. Where's that
Well,
at?
I mean,
that's about to start, man. That's about to
They have to
start.
they have to hitch off the MLS.
Do you know that
No,
Toronto
they're
has
gonna
to
start, aren't they?
qualify through there to make it into the
Right.
champions?
I
didn't know that.
They qualify through the Voyageurs Cup.
It's like
Yeah,
Central
so-
America.
so
Canada is the
they-
Central America of the north. That's what Canada is.
Wow.
Like El Salvador.
like Upper Hondurans. So Canada's like Upper Honduras.
They're like
That is harsh.
They're like
Yeah.
Panama before Panama had their own soccer league.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gotcha.
Wait,
That's
no,
gotcha.
they're similar, yeah, because Panama sends their players to Colombia.
All right. So
There's
Rigo,
different national teams.
do they win it in the first leg or do they win it in the second leg?
I think they win it in the first leg.
Oh,
Like, not that they just like completely like blow them out. I think they win that game, and that's able to hold them. They use that game and they hold off Toronto.
so they establish a
Wow.
beachhead early and then just hang on.
Yeah. Yep. I think
So-
I think they're going to neutralize Javinko.
The first leg is in Toronto, right?
Right.
Yeah. I was very close to going.
Are you going to do it?
No, I don't think so. It's just too expensive to go for one day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was going to go like on the game day and then fly back the next day, but it's just like $260, $300, too much for one day. If it was like
Can't you take a train?
$150, nah, it's too far.
So you can't drive either.
No, it's like 9 hours away.
9 hours?
Doesn't pay.
It's like
Yeah,
driving
I mean,
to San
it's
Francisco.
an hour flight. It's an hour flight, but I mean, I got to work, so it's not. I have a real job that unfortunately gets in the way of all this fun soccer stuff.
No, that's cool. I mean, not everybody's like a super hardcore fan.
I mean, I was only like there in Guadalajara. Like,
Dude, I've never even seen the Estadio Corona, bro.
Dang, man.
That's funny.
I'm only talking shit.
No,
That's,
I mean, I'm still. If I can find a flight under like $200, then I'll probably do it.
Have you ever been to Toronto? I've never been to Toronto.
I've never been to
Vancouver,
Toronto.
Montreal.
I've been to Niagara Falls, but not Toronto. And I was a kid when I went.
I may be going to Detroit next month, possibly.
Take him to Detroit. You can go. That's right across the lake.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna make it a point to go to Canada.
You should.
You can probably buy like
It's,
47 houses in Detroit for like $10. Just
I'll
buy a
have
whole
to
block.
Make room to help gentrify a neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
Take him to Detroit.
No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that!
If y'all could guess what that's from, I would be very impressed. Very impressed.
The second one?
Yeah.
Isn't that Krusty the Clown?
Oh no. Here we go. We'll do it again. Let's see.
Take him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything but that! No!
Nothing.
Say anything? I don't know.
The Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah.
The heck?
You've never seen the Kentucky Fried? Oh my God! Seriously? Are you a fan of the movie Airplane?
Well, I can tell it's that kind of movie.
Because it was the same guys, but it was the movie they made before Airplane. I highly recommend it. It's very good.
I will watch just because of Airplane, John.
Oh, it's outstanding. It is outstanding. So Dan, you say Chivas wins.
Yes.
Rigo says Chivas wins. I'm gonna assume. Well, I'm not gonna assume anything. Chiquis.
Oh,
He's gonna
I'm
say
just gonna.
Toronto wins.
I'll say Toronto, but I do agree that there is a good possibility, like your reasonings and everything, that Chivas could take it. But I'll just say Toronto.
All right. Joel?
I don't know, John. I'm looking at my crystal ball and it's cloudy.
Yeah. Do you see Vicente in there?
It's just tough, man, and we're close at home where
It
they
sounds like
haven't been.
Nat King Cole, dude.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh.
It could be
Damn.
worse. It could be worse.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest.
Uh-oh.
I'm drawing a blank here.
All right, well, I'm gonna throw all the Chivas stuff I have at you. See what happens. We have that. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I should have used this more often. I like this one. We have that. So what other Chivas? Well, of course, we got to have everyone's favorite.
Ya, Gonzalo. Baja con los chavillos. Te están viendo tus hijos, Gonzalo. Compórtate ya.
And of course we have.
Chivas. Don't make me laugh.
So there you go. Oh, last one.
Primero que nada hay que felicitar a Chivas porque ganaron bien.
So.
What you don't have the last one though? You are forgetting one.
Am I?
Chiva contra Chiva.
Oh, good God, the biggest one. Well, see, actually, Joel, give us your prediction here. Now that you've heard them.
No, I don't have it.
Still, it's still.
I'm drawing a blank.
Unidos y divididos por el amor. We haven't had a good Chiva contra Chiva in a while.
Yeah, we No, see that's persuading me to go with my heart. You know, of course I want Chivas to win, but analyzing it, I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
Is that why you're stalling?
Because he can't find a reason they're going to win.
The unbiased journalist uses like there's no way in hell they're going to win this thing. But
no, they can win.
You don't want to upset your Chivarmano on the line.
No, that's not it. Because they have players, but you don't know which ones are going to show up. You know.
As a Chiva hermano, Rigo, can you accept another Chiva who says no, the other team's going to win?
They just need a bench Pulido.
Yeah, why don't they put in the boy, the guy from Santos? What was his name?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo
Cisneros. Yeah. Why don't they just play him? He can't be any worse than what Pulido's done.
I think.
Or I'd even consider playing without a striker.
I think Almeida isn't a fan of him.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like he has stopped playing him completely.
Now, the most important question I'm going to ask before we wrap it up: trophies, difference maker, or real difference maker?
Real difference maker.
All right.
Damn.
The difference maker.
He could well be. And if he does set the world on fire, does he then just vault right into the World Cup starting lineup? And
no, I don't think so.
Not yet.
Unfortunately, I don't think so.
Okay. So Joel, after all this, are you still wishy-washy? Are you still sitting on the fence? Don't want to upset your Chivarmanos around the world?
No, it's not. It's not too upsetting. I generally can't. You know, I'm drawing a blank here.
Oh, yeah. You cannot recall who you think is going to win the match?
No, it's too many variables, you know.
Oh, okay. I think I have something to see.
My mind is a raging torrent, flooded with rivulets of thought, cascading into a waterfall of creative alternatives.
Is that what's going on, Joel?
Pretty much, man.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, who shows up, you know?
All right. Well, we'll call Joel.
This is a final, man. Of course they're going to show up.
Undecided.
Quién sabe, man. Quién sabe.
All right, so I do think that that Chivas does have a really good chance of winning this thing, especially if they can get they cannot lose by more than 2 goals in the first leg. And I'm almost tempted to say that they can't lose at all in the first leg. If they end up drawing or even winning, then I think they're going to win. But if they lose the first leg, then I think Toronto takes it.
Yeah, but see, even at home, and this is the one thing because the stats are in favor of in these type of tournaments. Teams that close at home have won the majority of the campeonatos. So so the stats are in their favor of just that's a good advantage to have closing at home. But then we're looking at a team that like in league play they haven't won a single game at home. I think all season long they've only won like maybe 2 or 3.
The
And
only
those
games that
and those
they've
were
won,
Copa MX, huh?
the only 2 games that they've won in 2018 have been the Conca Champions games.
Oh yeah, they didn't play. And who was like Cibao, which is like
They beat Simao Sabrosa
Cibao.
of Santo Domingo, and then they played Sounders
yeah, team of like
And Red Bulls
and Red Bulls, and they won all 3.
They
at home.
well.
Would you have
See,
stopped
that-
watching Liga MX, John, if Wagner Love would have made it to Liga MX?
Oh,
You just said Simao
not as
Sabrosa,
bad,
and,
not as
and,
bad
and
as
that's
Simao Sabrosa, but man, that was painful. I could not deal with that. But now that you bring it up, yeah, that was. How bad
Sorry,
was I? I
man,
don't
I didn't
remember
mean to
Wagner
derail
Love.
you.
How bad was Wagner Love? Was it as bad as Simao Sabrosa? I don't remember.
Wagner Love. Oh man, dude.
I find him hilarious.
I do too.
I'm a
I do
fan.
too. But that one and Simao Sabrosa were like, I was like,
Over the top.
yeah.
He used to
dude.
do the guy Skoko who plays for River. And again, another brilliant move by Pumas. You're getting rid of him. He used to play, and he used to call him Skoko. He used to drive me crazy. I could not deal with it.
Man.
I could not deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he tries hard, you know.
Oh. Can't deal with that. Cannot do it. It's funny now, but yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, it's enough time has passed.
So it's going to be weird. I have to admit. I mean, this is the first time since I've lived in the States that it's not going to be on Univision. And I don't know if y'all been watching their programming or their promotion. But they're like, hey man, at halftime, come watch us. Don't watch Telemundo, which of course we want everyone to watch Telemundo because with our good friends at Sprint, who have helped us out with some things. They're going to be the title sponsor of the halftime segment on Telemundo, which is where the World Cup's going to be. But it's going to be strange.
It is going to be strange. I'm personally just disappointed because I'm not going to be able to watch it in HD. At least I'll have to turn over to the English.
No,
broadcast.
Dan, you have to
get
do
the
the
app.
old school.
Yeah,
Wait,
get the app.
Wait, what app are you talking about?
The Telemundo app.
Oh no, man!
And then just play it on the TV.
Yeah.
No, do the old
Okay.
school one, man. You put the radio. With the radio, feed. Yeah. For the
No, I'm
play-by-play on the radio, and then just watch the.
Well, no, I don't. No, it's not the play-by-play. It's the standard definition, the picture.
I know, but you put it the English HD, and then.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And,
then
you know.
have the Spanish.
I had to do that. I think it was the Mexico France game because I can't remember who the announcer was on Univision, but it was a guy that for whatever reason at that time I just could not. It wasn't Torre. It was some other guy. I can't remember who it was. And I was like, man, I cannot deal with this. and I maybe it was, I can't remember, but I did exactly what you did. But that was back when I just got my DVR, so I was like trying to time it so it would be kind of in sync with the with the radio, and I got it where the radio was just like a little head. I was like, all right, but that's how I figured out, some stuff that was happening. It was, and that the football primera, they have like 10 guys calling the game. It's kind of like the CantinaMX podcast. There's like 10 guys because he has, there's Cantor, and then he has like his 4 analysts. There's Bora and Valderrama and who else was there? There was Sadovnik, and then he has Rosa, who's reading, and then he has the arbitro, who talks about the ex-arbitro who talks about the plays. And he had a couple of, I think Yayo was there, Yayo de la Torre, Hermosillo. It's like a 7-man booth. It's it's tremendous, and it was fantastic. It was incredibly entertaining. It was really good. It was like, man, I need to do this more often. I really enjoyed it. It was a great. And that's the one thing I'm looking forward to, because I think Andres Cantor has become he's gotten to the point where he's much more entertaining as an announcer. As far as he used to be incredibly critical, I don't think he's as critical as he was anymore. I think that he just enjoys the matches.
He was jaded, John.
Pardon me?
He was jaded.
Yeah, well, he probably was. We all get that. But I remember in the Olympics, when he was calling the Olympics when Mexico won in 2012, he was outstanding. It was really a real pleasure to listen to him call games. So that's the one thing I am looking forward to is him calling World Cup games on TV again, because the one I remember most was the France '98 when Argentina beat England in the round of 16, and when you remember what the penalty kicks, and of course he's from Argentina, and when they went to break, he came back, he couldn't speak, he lost his voice. And then Norberto Longo had to do the entire segment, and he was totally making fun of me and asking, "Está listo para regresar?" And he's like, tapping his fingers, like, oh, I can't. He's like shaking his head. It was so funny. He just couldn't speak anymore. He obviously got very emotional. So it was great TV. It was a lot of fun. So that's I got
to listen to that girl announce some goals on the Pachuca Puebla game. There was like 50 goals. Just goal after goal after goal. That was sort of interesting. I was doing work and stuff. I wasn't watching, but I was listening to her call the game.
Yeah, who we need to get on to help us call some games is our boy Lalo.
Oh yeah, Joel had the hookup, I believe, with Lalo.
Estamos en veremos.
Is that what he said?
No, I haven't reached out. We've been pretty booked, so.
We have been booked, and we're booked again next week.
Yeah,
as y'all know, we
have waiting list, man. I didn't think we would, but.
Yeah, Luis Miguel Echegaray is going to join us next week. He's going to talk Peru, because we haven't had Peru in the world. But it's so exciting to have Peru in the world. It's been so long to have Peru in the World Cup. And they did not exit. They did not exit well when last we saw Peru in the World Cup. They got a little Boniek and Lato and just pulverized them 5-1, and we haven't seen or heard from them since in the World Cup. So it's good to have. Oh, here's Lalo. Yeah, here we go. Let's see.
Balón, quítate la chingada, solo contra el defensa, se lo quita bien pinche fácil, la cucharea, gol!
Fantastic.
The best one is Conejo Perez with the block on that Real Madrid game. That was the best one. Where he just comes out and says Conejo Perez.
He had a really good one when Trophy scored. He had a really good one too. Yeah, so we'd love to have.
He's from Mexico though, right? We'd have to convert to Mexican or to Spanish, right?
Wait, I don't understand what you mean.
I think he's does he speak English?
Yeah.
Yeah, pero nosotros hablamos español también, chiquis. There won't be a problem, no?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. We would have to switch. But if he speaks English,
it would be el podcast CantinaMX. That's all we have to do.
Yeah, we'd have to. Yeah. We'll have to. Yeah,
rebrand.
Promote it different. Yeah, do a little new promotion type thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I don't think it would definitely be great to have him on. as well. Maybe we should get who was the guy that was trashing America last night? Is that someone particular that we know about, or is that just is that like a referee guy, or is that somebody else?
Yeah, I think he's one of the referee guys. I think I've seen him before. He's one of their rotation, or one of their guys that comment.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think I just got into the this is
Ronaldo se la pone con moñito a Lucas Vázquez para que se haga famoso. ¿Para dónde el Conejo Pérez? Ah, no es Bufón. Carvajal agarra la pelota, manda el centro. Chilenita y gol.
Yeah, that was good.
Is Conejo Pérez going to make the World Cup for the fifth time?
Him and Rafa Marquez should.
I don't see how with how bad Rafa's been playing. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine how on earth that Rafa even makes the team. Oh, here we go. Here. This is.
Pinche pases son de Pizarro de 3 dedos. Chofi, sombrerito, quítate, pinche güero. Brinca, gol.
Just a true artist. A true artist, Lalo is.
He really is, and those are some great calls, man.
Yeah, I mean, I should play this whole one just full. I mean, this is just. I mean, you can't get better than this.
Pinche pases son de Pizarro de 3 dedos. Chofi, sombrerito, quítate, pinche güero. Brinca, gol. Váyanse a la verga todos los que critican a Chofis. Hijos de.
So, right there. I mean, that should be just standard trophy chaser mem. Well, whatever it is, however it is that you defend trophies, that should be in your arsenal. I mean, it should be for the trophy chasers.
I was thinking like play-by-play guys should be like, this is what you need to aspire to, dude.
Absolutely. Now, I've always wondered, why they don't have like an R-rated version of calling a game.
I know in Fox Soccer, I used to every once in a while would like to tune into. They'd replay some matches and have opposing fans call the game.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Like Match View or whatever it was, like for like 20 minutes, and then had like one fan from each side, right?
Yeah, and they're both like narrating the game together. It's makes for it's entertaining.
It is entertaining.
At least I found it.
The closest rated R you have is Martinoli and Campos and all those fools.
Yeah, but those guys get mean. They get personal and mean. I think that there's a fine line there. I think that you can be irreverent. I don't want to toot our own horn, but I think that we can get very irreverent about stuff, and we might talk about teams as a whole, and we play clips and this and that. But I don't think we ever get like mean and personal specifically about players. At least I know I try not to. I'm hoping that you guys feel the same way. I just don't think that there's any room for that for any of the stuff that we do.
They do that, then I don't listen to them too much.
I mean that's the reason why Piojo smacked him on the head. Because he was getting mean, he was getting personal, he was getting mean and personal with Piojo's family.
Oh yeah.
Now
I guess with the whole the Mexico when they were failing with not with Chepo, but on the national team, he got really he railed into him pretty good too.
He did. Oh, that was when the U.S. bailed him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's amazing how he had changed his tune when the World Cup came around and Mexico had a good World Cup. But that's what happens. Doesn't matter how you get there. What's the line from El Rey? No hay que llegar primero, pero hay que saber llegar.
Yeah.
And that's what Chivas did, and that's why 3 out of 4 CantinaMX podcasters are saying that Chivas is going to win the Coca Champions.
Hay que llegar primero.
This is kind of like I would hope that the Chivas players approach this like what's his name, Chiellini. where they were. Was it when Juventus played Tottenham?
Oh, Tottenham.
That's how they have to approach the game. It's like, we're gonna win because we're Chivas.
Because
no matter
sooner or
what,
later
we're
they're going to make
win.
a mistake.
And we're gonna take our chance. That's got to be the way they have to approach it. And I think they had a. I don't think that the differences are that wide. I think people are just going to be are people that think that are only looking at the last game that they played.
Sure.
And that's just not. That's not really fair, to be honest. I don't think, Chivas is not that bad.
Well, as Joel said, I mean the vast majority of Chivas players that elevated them to their championship last year are all in a slump. I mean, not one of them has had a good season at all. But all it takes is for one of them to get going, and then it'll get all the rest of them going, and they can feed off of that. But is anyone for Chivas going to step? If somebody finally steps up, I think Chivas does have a really good chance. But if they keep trying to do the whole, I'm going to take on 4 guys because I don't think anyone else on my team has a chance to help me out, nothing's going to happen. They will lose. So that's a good spot for us to wrap it up here on the CantinaMX podcast. As always, it's been a pleasure to be on with you guys, and do want to thank Arch Bell for joining us earlier on the show. The first portion of the show, if you just joining us, you can listen to once we get it up and running on the podcast center, and catch Arch Bell talking about Conca Champions, also about Spain and Group B. Arch saying that Spain and Portugal will probably go through, but he wouldn't be surprised if either Iran or Morocco are able to get through into the round of 16, and then did say that Spain is looking like a semifinalist. So we do appreciate Arch coming on. Do appreciate y'all listening. Chiquis, thanks very much for hopping on.
Yeah, no problem. I just like to say adios to Buffon if he decides to. I guess his Champions League career is over.
Man, what a great career that guy's had. He's just been involved in just some heartbreaking losses over the past 2 or 3 years, and then for them not to be in the World Cup, and for us not to get a chance to see him play in the World Cup is just really sucks. And just what a great and for a year. I mean, this is for 18 years he's been Italy's number one goal, and showing no signs of slowing down. But yeah, it looks like it's finally the end of the road for him. And I am still amazed that Jared Borghetti froze him in 2002. How many guys in the world can say I froze Buffon when I scored against him?
It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool watching that goal when the World Cup comes around again, because they'll show it.
Oh yeah, and we're going to be compiling our own list of top World Cup goals here in the CantinaMX podcast. So I'm sure that one will make the list, because it's just an outstanding goal, totally out of the blue. I was in Kerrville, Texas, in a hotel at the Hampton Inn. It was like about 6:30 in the morning, whatever it was. I was getting ready for work because we had a convention there, and I just totally just started. Could not believe, just started screaming. I forgot where I was. Again, the walls are a little thin, but yeah, it was nuts, absolutely nuts. Crazy goal.
I know you asked us about the goals, and I'm not that good with the history. The brain doesn't
just give me your favorites. You don't have to give me just.
It's not even favorite. I was just thinking of really just ultimate golazos, and like the Jared Borghetti one is the one that came to mind, and then the only other one that pops into my head is the Maxi goal.
Ouch! So the yin and the yang of goals and the immediate aftermath of emotions.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, that is crazy. That one I remember I was with my buddy Ruben, the dock, and when it came off his chest, I said, I remember we both looked at each other like we both shared an expletive because we knew what was going to happen, and sure enough, it just rocketed right in. It's like, ugh. Like the minute it came off his foot, you knew it was going in.
And then hearing him say it over and over again, or hearing or reading the quote over again, like he's like, I'll never be able to do that. That was like a whatever. It's like whatever, dude.
Once in a lifetime shot.
Like, go after yourself, man.
And then Piojo had to coach him at Atletico after that for a couple of years. They always joked around and said, "What are you gonna?" So he goes, "All you ask, you better believe I'm going to put him through some extra stuff in the practice." It was pretty funny. All right, well, Dan, thank you very much for joining us.
Fun as always.
And I want to thank Rigo Ayala for hopping on, and Joel Aceves, of course, for coming on, and hoping to hear from our profe and Ron DeLuna, who unfortunately were not able to make it tonight. But we're happy that you guys were able to join us here on the CantinaMX podcast. Thanks very much for listening. We will be on again next week. We'll be talking the first leg of Conca Champions and Liga MX, and of course anything else that pops up in the world of soccer. So we do thank y'all for joining us. For Arch Bell, who joined us earlier, Joel Aceves, Albert Campa, Rigo Ayala, and Daniel Preciado, my name is John Jagu, and thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.